So Eric can host and take over in case I need to have baby duties, and it baby duties quite a bit. Um, so let's see. Here we go. Are people joining yet? I might have to reset that live chat. Okay, independent outsider. Good. And that's weird. I don't see anyone in unless I'm on an old stream. Weird YouTube stuff. Can you hear me, independent outsider? Let's see. Speakers. Auxiliary. Looks good. Okay. It looks like there's more people coming in. I can't quite see the chat. Okay, here we go. I think. Independent outsider, can you say something? Am I having technical difficulties? I hope not.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, I hear you. That's good. I'm not going insane.
I just got on.
Okay. And the streaming looks like, yeah, weird thing is the live chat just kind of carries over from the previous live stream. So things are
Yeah,
a
I
little
don't
bit
even
odd.
see chat right now.
Okay. Let's see.
Good chat, by the way,
Oh,
with Jamarl and Holly. I was actually in that meeting with Jamarl at the Left Forum. They was talking about
yeah?
them talking about dues. Yeah, we were laughing. We were right next to each other. I was like, dude, what are you what are you guys doing? Like, no, we're not going to police it. Then what are we talking about? We're not going to police the payment. I'm like, all right. So I'm wasting an hour and a half, but at least I get to laugh with Jamarl. He was awesome.
Yeah. That's cool. So you're in Chicago too then? At the People's Summit too?
Actually, well, I actually lived in Chicago for a while.
Hey, Eric.
Hey,
How's it
I
going?
was in Chicago
Okay.
from '92 to '98.
Okay.
So I wish I would have known about it earlier. I actually have a couple people I probably could have crashed with.
Yeah.
But I just don't have the I don't have the vacation time.
Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, I
Now-
wanted, so this whole independent panel thing is gonna be different than after hours. So people who don't know, after hours is for everybody or anybody, and the independent media panel, I want it to be specifically towards people who just are working it in the independent media arena. Like they're doing
Right.
stories, they're doing news, they're doing commentary. People who are just, I mean, they know they know a lot more than I do of what's going on in the world because they follow it, they research it, and so I want them to actually talk with each other. And I didn't want to step in because otherwise it would have been just Jamarl and Holly, and and next week I think more people will have time. I know Hard Bastard has been busy, but he's been interested, and Zach Holler, I think, wants to do it. Rob from Bob TV wants to do it, but his timing is difficult because he works overnight hours, so he has to start traveling to work at 7 p.m. on weekdays,
Okay.
and that makes things kind of tough to schedule.
So, guys, is my mic working?
Yes, we can hear you good. We hear.
Crystal clear.
How's the sound?
Sounds awesome.
All right, because what I did was I went and got a Bluetooth mic, so it wouldn't. I'm not connected right into the phone. That might help that static thing.
Okay, yeah, no static at all. Awesome.
and I got a backup. I got a backup set that I know works brand new too. It's just a cheap set of headphones that I can use too. So either way, if this thing runs out of battery, we're gonna check its battery life tonight, I guess.
Yeah. How's it going, Eric?
Pretty good. A little tired, but good. I have to get something to drink real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. Hey, Josh, there's a new guy, new fella.
Oh, hello.
Do you want to say something, Josh? Test out your mic. Okay, I guess he just wanted to...
Say hello.
Yeah.
It's a spy.
We got infiltrated on an open forum, public open forum.
Open secrets.
Yeah. Hi, Lucas. Do you want to test your mic? Hi, James.
Hey, Evan.
Hey, James.
Hey, man.
Hey, listen, guys, I'm only going to be on for a minute. I just wanted to say a couple things. Hey, Broken. So I'm glad I changed my name. I'm also trying to fix my YouTube.
Oh, could someone mute their YouTube stream?
That's me. It's me. It's me. It's
Okay.
always me. I told you. I'm the Joey in the room.
Always James.
It's me. I'm the Joey in the room. I told you guys this already. Every time I come on, you know. Okay, so now I'm clicking stuff left and right. All right, so I was watching you and Jamal and that girl, Holly.
Holly Seeliger, yeah.
Yeah, she's great. All you guys were epic. Everything was just smooth, good. I saw Tim Black and Jamal and Nico today. Or was it Tim Black? No, it was somebody else. Anyway, it was three guys. It was Nico, Jamal,
and Anomaly.
Some white guy.
Anomaly, the independent media panel that we did, I think 2 days ago.
No, it was some guy with like long hair, and they were going back and forth.
Anomaly.
That's who it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that was him.
That was good too. I mean, those little panels are really informative, just like ours are. But I do believe that, and this isn't a bad bet. This is a good bet. But I do believe it's catching. And when you guys mentioned in your segment tonight towards the end, you know, is our movement moving? Who are we? What are we doing? Do we have a voice? We are the left. There's what Jamal was saying was great, because he was kind of saying to a guy that he was at the airport with, a Democrat, and the guy goes, oh, I'm a lefty. Oh, I'm a lefty. No, you're not a lefty. because he goes, oh, I'm a Democrat. No, you're not a lefty. Because a real lefty.
Oh, look, I just then exited like a few days before the left forum, and I actually met Jamal. He did one of his old videos was, how do we get together and how do we unite? So I private messaged him like, hey dude, you know, what's up? I'll be in Richmond here, and you know, oh yeah, the left forum's going on. That's how I found out about the left forum, and honestly, I swear to God, it like was a transformative experience for me. It like changed completely. I was like, oh my God, I got to tell Ajamu, dude, I'm so sorry I was asleep for so long. And he told me, well, are you woken up now? I'm like, yeah, I'm there. So, you know, I feel bad. It took me as long as it did, but the movement's coming. And
I'm right where he is.
I'm where he is
too. It's coming.
Yeah.
You got some stragglers coming in.
Yeah. Broken Carpenter or Lucas, someone has a TV on in the background.
That is not me.
And it is not me, sir.
I can hear you.
Okay, maybe it's Eric. Let me mute it.
It's probably me. It's probably me. No.
So okay, that was Eric.
So independent outsider. I'm telling you right now that I said in one of our shows, and I think Broken was here, and Eric, I know Evan was here, and Coco, and you. I just said, hey, I just woke up recently too. and it's all of a sudden it's kind of it's have you ever a while back I was a born again back in the day when I was playing football, and I think everybody was a born again when we were like, all right, let's go out and decapitate somebody and tackle them for God, right? Which was hilarious, and the other team is saying the same thing. Let's go break some bones for God. But and it's kind of it's the right feeling, but it's more real. It's more down to earth. It's more, the foundation feels better. It doesn't feel like I'm like floating. It feels like my feet are still on the ground.
Well, Jeremy Corbyn helped. Jeremy Corbyn, like that whole thing, everything's happening at once. It's bizarre. It's just like, what, where, who? Jeremy Corbyn? Oh my God. And you have a lot of people that I haven't ever heard of before, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And I never even, really followed Jeremy Corbyn. I'm like, oh my God, this guy, this guy's been around for so and so. Now I know he's British, but it's just everything just seems to be happening at once.
Yeah.
So and I apologize too. I voted for Hillary a couple of times, and I voted for Bell a couple of times, and I'm like, oh my God, what the hell did I do? And I voted for Obama, but I don't think is anybody proud of a vote for a president that actually won?
No, exactly. When it comes down to
no.
Yeah.
I voted Obama once, and honestly, I'm like really, truly regretting it.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
Eric,
I didn't get to vote for Carter. I'm too young.
Eric, can you kind of lower the sound of whatever you're playing?
Oh, my bad.
That's all right.
Nice, Eric.
The TV again.
I'm the Joey in the room.
Yeah, well, you're the Joey. You were talking about football. When I was in high school, we were like the team we were like the Bad News Bears. We were the team that played you guys. The guys that want to rip our heads off. I was like 180, 185, and I was I was tackle. I was the offensive tackle.
Wow.
Out a lot. Everybody was like, we'd look at the program for the game, and everybody on their line would outweigh me by like 30 pounds, and it'd be like, oh, great,
I was a booger picking spaz in Bad News Bears. Guy way out in the outfield. Oh yeah,
but,
I got you.
We had great parties afterwards. That was the thing.
Oh yeah, that's the best part, the parties.
Me and my partner, we'd go around with a football helmet and collect money because he had his sister's ID. Her name was Jolene. And he'd say, yeah, my name's Joe. And he'd go in there. One time he went in there, and one of the owner's daughters was there. He looked at the ID and says, Jolene, huh? He says, yeah, my name's Joe. And he looks at him and goes, No. I graduated with Jolene. I don't think you're. So that was funny. But man, as far as like stuff and stuff, I voted for Clinton, and we marched against NAFTA. We marched against the WTO, and still the dude did it. And then we had Bush, and here's the thing: we got to make sure that the people understand that just because Trump is horrible doesn't mean we got to go with whatever it is. You know what I mean? This time with Hillary was the right thing. They can't just take us for granted. They got to earn our vote. I voted for Obama once, and about halfway through his first term, after seeing him pick his cabinet stuff, then I knew that was gone, and just I green the next one. But the waking up process is fun. I mean, one of the things is a lot of people are angry. They get angry at first, but they wake up and they realize what the scam has been, and they get really angry. And the only reason I don't get super angry all the time anymore. It's just because I've seen the same thing happen so many times now that I'm getting used to it, and I just watch for the signs of what's going to happen.
Right. Well, it's almost like the 5 stages of death. It's like the 5 stages of waking up. You know, I'm a little past the anger stage, so I don't know if I'm at the bargaining stage. Like, okay, who are we gonna pick next? And let's be honest. If we're gonna go forward, let's be honest. Okay, even if Bernie would have won, would he have been effective? No, he wouldn't have been, because he had no support in Congress.
Well, yeah. I think he could have eventually been effective if Congress flipped in 2018 or 2020.
Correct, but not immediately.
Yeah, it would have been a slow, drawn-out process.
Correct.
It would have happened.
I think with Bernie as the candidate, they would have picked up some seats last election, and then in 2018 they'd be looking at a much bigger win. But I think as far as working with Congress and stuff, remember when Obama first came in, he had both sides. He had Senate and House. And unless we have somebody better than now a Schumer and a Pelosi doing our bargaining for us, between her and Schumer and whoever they pick, Cory Booker, they aren't going to be aggressive. But if we got a Bernie in there, what it is we can put the thing about Bernie and like his foreign policy. I'm not crazy about much of his foreign policy.
No.
But the thing about Bernie is, I believe if you make a popular movement against war, he'll listen. That's about the only thing about him that makes it different. I think he won't change totally, but I think we could get ourselves out of a lot of crap if we had a Bernie in there or somebody that would listen to the masses. Tulsi's got a great,
Yeah.
I like.
As far as anti-interventionist, I would say Tulsi's better, and also Tulsi's younger, so she has more energy. I don't think she's given up as much as Bernie has. And Bernie's compromise. He's kind of like the guy who was waiting in the wings for 40 years, and then all of a sudden, when he entered the Democratic Party to run, then all of a sudden he got this this upsurge of popularity, and everybody loves him now. And now everybody wants him to exit the Democratic Party. I understand why he doesn't do that and form his own party, because he just felt like he's starting to get headway, and now they're asking him to leave immediately after he just started getting headway. To me, it doesn't make sense for him to do that in his head. It's kind of, I would think it would be counterintuitive for him right now until we just yell so loud, and Corbyn winning didn't hurt. So maybe Nick Branya or somebody can get to him at the People's Summit, and maybe it'll happen. I think Nick is a little overly optimistic, to say the least. But hey, you can dream, and people who dream big, hey, if it happens, that would be friggin' awesome.
Does anyone know?
Because,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Because he set up kind of an escrow, right, where people donate to draft Bernie, and if he does, and if they don't draft Bernie to start a new party, then they give the money back. But does anyone know how much money has been donated to the draft Bernie campaign?
I do not know. We actually spoke with him. We didn't get that far.
21?
Our whole thing was, what happens if he doesn't join? And Nick's answer is always, "Oh, he's going to join." He's like, "No, but what if he doesn't?" No, he's gonna.
So there's no plan B.
No, yeah, no, there's no plan B.
Oh, that's
not
really.
I mean, I think that plan B would be to just vote whatever avenue you can to make a change. So let's say if there's a progressive running as a Republican trying to change the party in your area, like that one guy in a completely red state and red district.
Right.
I feel like that's a good way to do it. Justice Dems, sure. I guess it's better than a normal.
Nah.
I'd vote.
I'm not sold.
I'd vote green again.
Yeah, I really think that if we don't go with a third, I voted when instead of voting for Clinton, I voted for Ross Perot. And that was just out of stupidity. And now I look back, I think that's smart. I had no idea. But I know I was just doing it I think I did it just to be different. I don't know. But the thing is we have to think of it from their perspective. So you're a bunch of legislators, you're a bunch of executives, you're in these two hugely funded giants. Like I said, it's like Mecha Godzilla and regular Godzilla, right? And they're do 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 do, and then all of a sudden here comes Rodan, right? Rodan is the big flying turtle, I think, and he comes.
Yeah, where's the sound effects there?
I don't know, but he comes flying in, but it makes them look. At least they're looking in the direction. It gets them to notice us. I think a third party, a viable, strong, very apparently in-your-face third party, hopefully green, because I like everything they stand for, except for they're so soft on defense. I think they could really make these two parties kind of, oh, what the fuck is that over there? We better start.
I think that the Progressive Independent Party, which is creating an umbrella of all of the independents and creating a true third party instead of a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth party, it's actually a brilliant idea. The problem with the Greens is not their platform, it's their organization. I tried calling I live in Suffolk County, Long Island, and I tried calling those guys for forever. I spoke to someone at the Left Forum who told me, no, we're having a problem with those guys, but we have somebody else. We have a new contact there. You can get a hold of them. Well, what's their name? I'm not sure. Let me get back to you. What the hell?
No, you're right. Organized. They're not united at all. They're just all over the place. They're unorganized. I went and saw Jill Stein in Irvine, California a few months ago.
She's awesome.
She was amazing. I had a great conversation with her. Got a picture, of course. But the problem is the organization in the beginning, and I do marketing. I do marketing, sales, and consulting. And when these guys got there, they got there late. They had nothing pinned up. They didn't have any signs. Had to drive into the parking lot. They had nothing prepared. It was so disorganized. I was just like, I kind of just wanted to leave, but I was already there. But it really needs a facelift. And I actually told her, I said, you guys are out of control. Because what do you mean? I go, you have no control. There's no control over what's happening here. There's no organization. There's no structure. There's no nothing.
Structure is the biggest issue.
Erik Bloss, she's got her head on straight, and she knows how to organize. So, awesome. I'm looking at the Progressive Independent Party, and I'm looking. That's a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to work, but it's a possibility. Better than the Greens.
I think right now, the thing about it is right now, Bernie is to do what he's doing, and that is working.
All right, hold on. Steph, can you mute the YouTube stream?
Great.
Oh, she pulled a Jim.
Yeah.
She pulled a Jim.
Hey, Carmen, what's up?
Hey.
So
I've seen you before.
Yeah.
What? Have you seen me before?
Bits and pieces.
Yeah, you do YouTube. You're a YouTuber. I think I.
Well, I made 2 videos.
Yeah. But they were good.
I'm coming to meet
defending
you.
like Tim Black and HA, and like a second one answering people's questions about it. But that's it. Like I haven't made any videos since then. I'm going to, but I'm just like a lazy. Just my YouTube is like my personal YouTube. I wouldn't call myself a YouTuber. I'd say that I just.
No.
You do a video. You're a YouTuber.
Yeah.
What?
You're a YouTuber.
I'm a lurking YouTuber. I haven't posted anything yet, but I'm
a lurking YouTuber who made a video that happened to I guess Tim shared it, so a lot of people saw it or something for my first video.
I saw it.
Yeah.
So do you want to introduce yourself, Steph? Give people more information about you, of what you want to give out, I guess.
Why is my head so big and everyone? Is it because you guys are leaned?
Yeah, you can scoot back.
Hey there.
Well, we pump you up so much that your head's so big now.
Here, I'll join you. How about this? I'll just.
It isn't you. It's big.
Let's get big headed. Yeah.
I want to ask you guys a
Eric
question.
reminds me of like an '80s music video where they've always got like the glasses like right up there, and they're like doing weird things.
Oh yeah, wind blow your hair with an old hair dryer.
So yeah, I call in the Tim Black Show, and I guess I'm like left-leaning independent. And what else should I say? Like, how do I introduce?
Where are you from?
Well, right now I'm in Tennessee, but I've also lived in Florida, New Orleans, California, Alabama.
Oh, what part of Florida?
Orlando.
Oh, Orlando.
Are you in Florida right now, Eric?
Yes, I live in Florida.
Okay.
Born in New York.
That's right.
Cool.
Oh, right, Eric.
Oh, word.
My brother's still in Florida, so maybe, who knows, you might have met each other. I was in Florida the longest. I only came up here about 3 years ago, and when I was in Florida, I was working at Universal Studios for about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I left because I got mad.
Triggered? You got triggered, Eric?
I got triggered. Well, I wrote this script for Jurassic Park, and this guy took the rough draft and took credit for it in the Universal News. Like, they have like a little magazine paper where they talk about what the employees do and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And when I went over to work a convention in Texas, he took the credit for it. And then when I asked for traction, the man
Son of a bitch.
we don't want to embarrass him. Like, why not? He stole credit for my friggin' script for the Discovery Center. So,
That's a bastard move right there.
yeah.
Oh, son of a bitches.
I got mad and left it. It's like, I could go back.
Let's go get him.
It was just like, like, it was nice there, except for that after a while, any job, you work like long enough, and it's just like, I've been doing this. It's like I would move around the different sections in the park so it wouldn't be boring or like, just mind-numbing hamster wheel type feeling. But like after a while, it's just kind of like, well, I've done everything there is to do here without getting school and education. So that's that. I hope that's enough about me. I feel like I've been going on a long time.
Well, I want to ask you guys.
So you have your doctorate in Universal Studios.
Yeah, I guess. I started working there as soon as I got out of high school. So instead of going to school, I just started working. I got experience. I had work experience.
So you know all the behind the scenes on all the rides and stuff.
Yeah, I know about rides. Like, I had to take acting classes and stuff there with the directors. Like, I helped in film production. So it's like I'm used to working with a lot of entertainers, and I know a lot of famous people, but I wouldn't talk about it because we have this whole thing where it's like, don't name drop, and they beat it into your brain, like, don't treat them any different than anybody else. Like, don't talk about these things. Like, when we're at work and we participated in something where we're working for celebrities, we had to sign these like 9 non-disclosure agreements as third-party contractors. So there's people I've met, but I can't talk about it, especially since we're doing this live.
You don't work there anymore. It doesn't matter. You don't work there.
Well, I could go back currently.
Ah.
If I wanted to just burn that bridge, I guess I could, But
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know.
couldn't
I don't want to leave
Couldn't
that.
they come after you even if you're not still working there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could they actually come after you?
An NDA, sure.
It depends on what I mean. Like, the NDA may run out, but the thing is, legally they couldn't come after me, but they could just they keep records of people and human.
You know what you could do?
blacklist.
You could say, hey, take me back and give me this much money, or I'll just let out all these stories.
That would be great.
Basically, lots of people talk about their experiences because they have no intentions of ever going back, but I don't think I'd want to like burn that bridge. Like, if you look, it's like Disney secrets. It's like ex-employees who got pissed off and they talk about all these things they're not supposed to talk
Right.
about.
The dark secrets of whatever. The dark
Right.
I
Like,
love
when I talked to you guys about working at the Jurassic Park Discovery Center, I was a vet tech and geneticist there. And I worked with the baby dinosaurs. I would never say anything else. If you asked me if they're real or not, I'd say, of course they are. So, we have those kind of rules too. So, yeah.
Well, that's one of the things about Trump is he's got people signing NDAs that are around him. And so,
I heard about that. I was just reading the article that WikiLeaks posted up about Comey, if he broke the law or not, technically, and how stupid the laws are for leakers in the first place.
Comey wouldn't sign an NDA with Trump. I mean, he's the head of the FBI. He wouldn't do that without publicizing it. So,
which kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Exactly.
I think the author of that article is kind of reaching. They like want Comey to be in trouble. I mean, technically, with this whole thing about leakers, it's just silly to me. It's like this is illegal and this is not, unless it's something that puts people in harm's way. It just seems like the government trying to like hide what it's doing to me.
It's not the only thing that might be illegal is that he took maybe FBI records home. Otherwise, he didn't classify it. So it was unclassified, so it was free to use as anybody wished. And it was what do they call it? It was in the time he showed the same thing, that if there's any argument about whether it was written when these meetings happened, he'd have a written record, and so that's actually a pretty tight thing. Like I say, if they get them for, well, those are FBI records and you took FBI records home. But if it was unclassified and everything else, then it becomes like, well, so he forgot papers in his briefcase. But I don't know.
So I asked this in the independent media panel. For people who are watching the James Comey testimony, did they ever ask him about what was on Anthony Weiner's laptop?
No.
Oh God.
Well, I'm surprised.
It's on Kurt Etchenwald's laptop now. Tentacle porn. Like all those times he's making fun of people, like, why don't you go back to your cartoons in your basement, Bernie Bros? And then someone's like, check out what Kurt Etchenwald has on his laptop. It's about tentacle porn. And I'm like, why would anybody like invade his privacy like that? But he kind of deserves it, except for to show how much of a hypocrite he is. Because, I mean,
him and Louise Mensch, they're both any Twitter trolling they get, they deserve.
Yeah.
Star duo. I can't believe the Eichenwald actually writes for Newsweek. I mean, the Eichenwald's like he's too crazy for most blogs.
He's a giant douche.
Well, it just shows you what Newsweek, how credible Newsweek is, right?
Yeah, well, I forget who the editor is now, but they got, I mean, it's like Ezra Klein kind of people, Ezra sort of, he nuzzled in there at the right time to be sort of a sniveling, scribe for Dem Power. And
they were okay. They were okay early until I think what hit Newsweek is USA Today. When USA Today became famous, that kind of diluted everything. They were. I thought they were pretty okay. Maybe I'm just naive and young, but I thought they wrote okay, in the 70s and the 80s. But now it's
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. I can't remember who the editor was that came in, but they got an editor that's like hiring his buddies and stuff. That's how I can walk. Right. So I can believe it. Plus, there was a point at which Newsweek and Time both started hiring the sort of they started hiring like less reporters and more commentators.
Right.
Right. It's like we have a shortage of commentators. We sit around here at night. We sit around here at night and do a better job of picking apart crap than they do. And as far as the Comey thing, you were asked about that. No, they didn't ask about that. They mostly stayed on the opening statement that he released and the document. They also talked about the thing about Hillary was pretty interesting with Lynch asking, that he not use the word investigation and use whatever the word was. I can't remember the term, but that was interesting. There's a lot of like little clues that I think Comey left, that there's more shoes to drop, like this Sessions you know, he was positive that Sessions was gonna recuse himself, and I think that's because there's like NSA information or whatever FBI bugs that picked up crap that they can't talk about in an open session, or Comey won't. But he did like that sort of Washington. His language was very strong for Washington. Speaking of lies and things like that just doesn't happen in hearings. And the thing about his like hints is they were like Washington hearing hints. When they can't say something, yet they say something, or the person that asks them the question frames it in such a way that when they say, "Well, I can't answer that," it's like a yes or no question.
They answered it. They answered it. When you say you can't answer it, you answered it.
As soon as you say you can't answer it, they know there's more info. That kind of thing. Right. So it was a very interesting hearing from that perspective. I'd also like to hear more about. I'd love to hear more about what the deal with Lynch was and what the more of the ins and outs with that was, because that was, we were all pretty much. I was sitting there thinking maybe, I knew Obama was for her right off, and I knew that then the fix was in, but you never knew about Comey. I thought that Comey might actually throw a set and say, we're gonna indict her, but
Comey looks like he's about to bust. Every time you see a picture of him, it looks like he's just gonna, yes, he did it. He killed this guy, or he's selling coke out of the White House. I know.
I'm thinking exactly what Independent is thinking, is that he wants to get up there and say, you know what, you're all a bunch of fucking criminals. That's what he'd like to say. Mm-hmm. He wants to get up and say, Hillary, she's amazingly the most amazing criminal we've ever seen. Trump's just starting to get his greenhorns into this stuff.
So why doesn't he?
Yeah, because he's wrapped. Didn't
Comey say that?
I think I know why. Like, he's hinting at, he has to have proof, and he knows enough from like dealing with both of these morons, like that. I think that Comey's a little bit of a coward because he let himself get pushed around a little, but at the same time, he wanted to stay in the game because he really wanted to catch them. Like, this may have been going on for years.
That's it.
Well, you guys
he kept going back and forth on Hillary. Now he's doing the same thing with Trump. It's like he was trying to get in there just enough that he could keep investigating them, but he got axed anyway. Like, it was very hard for him to juggle.
Well, you guys know how tall Comey is, right? I mean, what if Comey is just trying to keep himself from getting enemies on both sides? Because, I mean, Republicans like him and hate him. Democrats like him and hate him. The tallest guy always wins the presidential elections, right? So
he's definitely playing both sides. Didn't he say that he felt like he had to take a shower? Was he the guy that said that he felt like he had to take a shower when he talked to Trump?
He wanted to take a shower afterwards.
He's been dirty for decades. I mean, come on.
Hey, this guy, you got to understand. I really believe to some extent he's a very skilled bureaucrat. A Washington inside, or he's worked inside Washington. But I also believe, that Opie thing, that whole gosh golly gee, I don't think that's an act. I really believe that he is pretty much straight-laced FBI guy. Like, he wanted to be in the FBI. And that was like his dream. Okay. And he had his dream job. And I believe that the attacks on him personally, I think he would have let slide. But when Trump attacked the FBI, that was like, oh, no, I can't let that stand. It's kind of like, I don't know. That's sort of the way I am too. I won't engage with anybody, but like somebody messed with somebody, a friend of mine, and it's different. You know what I mean?
Jimmy Doris.
I got my sense.
And I had thought about it too. I talked to somebody, and now that I think about it, most people I know who, it's different from the police force. Like, a lot of people join the police force who want to be able to be like violent, basically. It's like one of the big discussions because it's getting more militarized. Like, it didn't used to be that way. It was like, I want to keep people safe. Now it's more like, I want to have power. It's like a power thing.
I think it's always been that way. Like Michael A. Wood Jr. has been talking about
he
the
talks
foundation
a lot
of
about
the police.
But the Secret Service is different in that, like, a lot of it is being invisible, you know, like being able to like spy on people. And so like a lot of these kind of more quiet, mousy people who got picked on, who like want to snitch and want to like, you know, rat out the, like they're good people, but they're also sort of cowardly people. Or, you know, it's like very rare for one of them to be quiet and like also not be like quiet because they're nervous, you know, because like generally like a outgoing person is very bold and doesn't care what people think of them. And it's like sometimes a person's quiet because they're thinking before they talk, so that, you know, what they say has more impact. But that's rare. Usually people are quiet either because they're like introverted or because they're like shy and a little socially awkward, you know, like, so like those kind of people tend to be picked on. And so like Jimmy Dore brought up the point is that a lot of these
still trying to get hooked up an hour later
are not as brave as you would think they are. So they it's like, even though they have all these utilities to be, you know, like super strong and cool, like, and they can be physically strong, like they have all these methods, like they still can be pushed around mentally a little bit sometimes, you know, like they have these psyop things, but it can be used on them because you see the CIA being incompetent and messing up all the time. So I'm sure it's with the FBI too. Like, it's like they do everything by the book. So somebody who knows the book can kind of move around it, you know, like once people follow a pattern, you can take advantage of it.
Well, did you guys ever read about the FBI's first case, like the case that got the agency started?
Yeah, I've read about it. I've heard about it. Yeah.
Which case was that?
Well, there was a group of Native Americans that struck it rich after, like they were a small tribe of Native Americans out, and I don't know if it was Nebraska or Kansas. It was out in the Great Plains states, and they struck it rich, and a lot of the family started marrying. Like a lot of the women in the family started marrying white guys, and this one woman, everyone in her family was slowly dying off. Like she'd lose like 5 relatives a year, and they were all like, one would like drown, and one would be poisoned, and one would, you know, be shot, and one would go missing, and like that kind of thing. And the FBI started, like the FBI was started, and it started investigating, and it found out that one of the heiresses of the wealth from like the casinos and the oil money out there, her husband and his white friends all came there and specifically married those women so that they could poison the whole tribe and then take all of the money.
Mm.
Oh.
No, I didn't hear that one. I was actually when what's his face, the dude that wore the dresses started leading it. But yeah, I hadn't heard that one.
Hey, listen, you guys, I'm sorry, but I have to get going. I know you're going to miss me, and it's good to see you, Cameron, instead of like little spots behind some cloth. Was that you, like the other night you were doing that?
Oh, yeah, I was,
okay.
But,
yeah, there it is. Okay, but sorry, I got to meet some friends at the House of Blues tonight.
Huh?
And do some things. I'm taking a cab, don't worry. But,
have a good one. Have a wonderful weekend.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Yeah,
Thank
see you.
For your information and listening. And I appreciate you all, always.
See you, man.
Yeah.
Oh, bye.
Same here.
Bye.
They do it that way. That's the way.
So what are you guys' I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think is the most important issue for the 2018 elections? Because in my opinion, it's gerrymandering. Because if we don't fix the gerrymandering, the Republicans are going to be in power forever.
I think that's just a small bit, really. I think getting corruption out.
I think Tulsi has the right idea with and then Bernie too, with trying to fix the Glass-Steagall thing, because it's like we got to get the money out of politics. But the other thing, like if you watch what happened with Corbyn, we need to get ranked choice voting because we don't have coalitions yet. Like we you know, like they make it really hard for us to get other parties, and they keep making this argument turn on them as, you know, progressives or independents or, you know, people or some libertarians or whatever, people who are in between, where it's like we would lean with a candidate left if they're going the right direction, you know, and we might even lean with a candidate right if they're going in the right direction. But I haven't seen a right candidate that I like yet.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the things that we're going to have to do. one of the things we have to do in 2018 is any of the governorships. Any governorships are the most important thing in 2018 and 2020 besides the presidential run, because it's the best way for the Democrats or for the left to take over the state houses to make sure that when the gerrymandering happens after the next census in 2020, that the gerrymandering is done in a better way.
Well, did you hear about the Ohio Dems?
I have not.
Yes.
Did you hear? They are pushing to get Jerry Springer in as the gubernatorial candidate for the Democrats ahead of Nina Turner.
Oh yeah, I did hear that. That made me angry because I'd vote for Nina. I want her to be my first gubernatorial vote.
It just feels like they want to push Hollywood, people like famous people instead of people that actually want to make a real difference.
Yeah.
That's honestly how I really feel. It's really stupid.
Well, he was mayor of Cincinnati, but so what?
Going back to what's the most important thing in 2018, I think really in any future elections is making sure our vote is tallied and we can see it. We have a receipt that it's going where it's going.
Because this whole thing about Russia is really, if you think about it, even if Russia did tamper with our election, the real problem is people, actors, any actors, because I don't know why they only care about Russia. If Russia can hack into our voting machines, and that's the story they're going with, all these other actors, including our own CIA or other politicians who would want to do things a certain way, or anarchists,
all it takes is a high schooler with a flashlight.
I want this this little politician that nobody actually likes to win, so I'm going to totally rig the system. It's just the idea that our machines can be hacked into is going to create chaos. It's already, look how much chaos is being created because people are like, I don't know if this election was legit because it wasn't in the primary. So the general, it's just once the primaries fail, how can you take anything seriously? It's such a joke right now. This whole, and then the people who want you to take Trump seriously, it's yeah, but he didn't go up against the person who would have won. How are we supposed to take it on by default? So
I heard
Washington, Oregon.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Washington and Oregon both have mail-in ballots, and Oregon has. I think they have now you're instantly registered when you turn 18, and those two things, all you do, you get your ballot in the mail. It's actually great because you can sit and, all those things, all the 37 ballot initiatives and all the little people that you know nothing about, you can take some time and look them up and try to figure out who's who. And so that's a good thing, but it's also a paper trail. And that's the biggest thing. It's a hard paper trail that can be recounted.
I agree. That's what it's. They did a study and they found that college kids at just any average college that are that have a little bit of knowledge in programming, if you give them a week, they can come up with a program to put on a flash drive and insert into the electronic voting machines that flips all the votes on that particular machine.
Yep.
But now in Chicago, they're talking about having automatic registration for people who turn the proper age, but have it all computerized. And we're talking about Illinois, and we're talking about Chicago. So going to that point, I completely agree with Broken Carpenter. Yeah, you automatically register people, but don't do it by computer now, and especially not in Chicago, because of their, they have the ultimate reputation of being dirty. I doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't know. Florida and Ohio are pretty bad when it comes to the voter rolls. John Husted done his best to kick everyone who's a Democrat off and make it look like it was accidental. And same in Florida. That's why Bush won 2000s because of Florida voter purges.
Well, Chicago's motto was vote early, vote often. So,
yeah.
I know it's a joke, but not really. So
Well, Canada runs theirs on paper and hand counts it.
Yeah, nobody questions Canada. Nobody questions. You notice that they didn't make any accusations about Russia with the UK elections because everything's paper. They can't, So it's like this nonsense of like there were no bots out, because there were bots out for France. There are certain areas that have electronic voting machines. And online, I found it interesting was that I put up a comment with what's his name? Michael Tracy had made a post being like, "Oh, they're making ridiculous Russia accusations." And I don't think it was Russia tampering with that election. I think it was the CIA. And I say that not to be like creepy conspiracy theorist, because I do like to do that too, but because like as soon as they put a post going, this one there may be something to it, because there's no reason for them to say that Filian is, you know, like Russia related. They would be attacking John Luke. And as soon as I wrote that comment, it got like 80 likes. I mean, as soon as I refreshed my page, so within a second of posting it, it had 80 bot likes.
Right.
You know, like, and I was like, what the hell? And it shot up to the top, and I was like, those aren't people. I'm just letting you know right now, Michael Tracy, a bunch of bots just like that comment. So someone is trying to make it look like, for some reason, Francis Filian is related with Russia somehow. So like, and I doubt that it's Russia, because it makes no sense. There was no reason for it. So there was an actor trying to make it look like, trying to knock out the competition for Macron, but I think it was people trying to get rid of Macron's competition, because he was the shoo-in for the establishment, and it worked. So I don't know.
I think one of the things about this is that it's all hard to prove. Everything is based off that one what's this, a Tiger Strike or whatever the hell their name is.
CrowdStrike, yeah.
Yeah, their thing, not the FBI. You know, and I have a question that nobody has asked yet, and that is it possible, or have you looked to make sure that one, that it is true that it was the Russians, you know, that infiltrated the computer, and only the Russians, and B, that the information couldn't have been downloaded, because, you know, both can be true. They could have been infiltrated by the Russians. The Russians, you got to understand, like, we're doing it too, probably. We're pushing everything we could do with electronic machines worldwide. I'm sure of that. You know, the CIA's got to be doing that. But, you know, the thing is, that's like a new frontier. So they're all probably, every security service is in the game of trying to move elections their way. And you know, the big players, you know, they never talk about North Korea or China, you know, and I'm sure they have pretty awesome hacking abilities too. So all of this, and then Israel, I mean, they've hacked in our stuff before.
Back in 2014, I worked for the United States Postal Service, and back in 2014, there was a major hack of postal employees, and someone somewhere got employee information, and the narrative was that the Chinese did it. Now, who spun that narrative? The United States Postal Service. Do I believe my government and the United States Postal Service? Not really. Could I imagine that that the CIA or whatever did their own internal hack? Yeah. But do I have my tinfoil hat on enough to believe that? But I mean, anyone can get hacked, no matter how, but I don't know. Supposedly China was accused of that hack back in 2014.
Well, I mean, you don't even need to get hacked anymore.
I was about to say, we're technically hacked 24/7, you know, but I think the idea of others hacking us, you know, the United States hacks us all the time.
Why would they mention China?
Well, the thing is, nobody even needs to hack us anymore. If you've got the money, you can just figure out all of someone's information in a day by going to a marketing conglomerate like Epsilon, and you can find every single thing you could ever want to know about a person. Like, and if you don't want to pay like that much money, you can go on. There's one website that'll give you the first 5 digits of someone's social security, and another website that'll give you the last 4. Spookio will tell you someone's phone number, email address, and their home address. I mean, you can also go on. There's free websites that'll let you embed a tracer in an email. That way, when someone opens your email, you can see what their IP is. So I mean, there's a million different ways that someone could get all your information without even trying.
Are these the same companies that provide security? Fraud security?
It's mainly marketing companies. So like they'll be like they're the ones that track your internet activity to like do targeted ads. But they know everything about you. Like they'll I mean every single thing about you they have it because they buy all your government records. They buy your DMV records, your birth records, your voter registration, anything.
Right.
And then
sell it to whoever.
Think about like how this is like. I'm still stuck on this idea of I know how the Clintons operate as far as the way they do things. And if anybody intruded in, even if they didn't get the information that we've seen, the person that got in made enough of a noise as a Russian or Eastern European for them to like peg it on that. And yet they might have found that all that was downloaded on a flash drive. You know what I mean? And so they're trying to do a Washington lie, which is they'll tell you all about this supposed Russian hack. Won't tell you a thing about the download they figured out. The breach in security.
Right.
Just throw it out there. That isn't even. I mean, that's just a reasonable question. That's not even like being conspiratorial. It's nobody is. I've never seen anybody say, did CrowdStrike look to see if people downloaded this information? Mm-hmm. Because Julian Assange says it was a leak, not a hack, and I believe Julian Assange more than I believe my government.
Well, do you believe the guy who consistently gets it right? The government that consistently gets it wrong.
Well, it's kind of like Comey. I mean, Comey's been a pretty straight-laced, straight shooter kind of guy. That's why I'm saying that him being angry, him being pissed, is not a good thing for Trump.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not gonna end well, because I think you can get away bullying somebody for so long, but you run into that quiet guy that doesn't talk and doesn't say anything and he just texts the shit out of you. That's the way it's gonna be. It could be.
He's gonna do that to Clinton and Trump because he already just threw which he should have done in the first place. He finally came out. I was like, I'm proud of you, Lestrade, because I call him Lestrade off the Sherlock thing, where it's like well-meaning but kind of incompetent police guy or chief, like I don't think he's a bad guy, but I think that he was like concerned about keeping his job. Like he put too much emotions and politics into it. He started playing the game and he shouldn't have. He should have stayed neutral, because he did for a long time, or tried to, and something went wrong. Like he made friends with people and didn't realize he was doing them favors, or he did realize he was doing them favors, But like this whole thing with like admitting that he was pressured by Loretta Lynch is a key that was he threatened? Was his family threatened? Like why is he only bringing it up now? Like did he have to like get his things in order that he could say this and feel like other people around him would be safe, or he'd be safe, kind of thing? Like it's weird that he would only bring it up now all of a sudden. And I don't think it's just because he's afraid of like going to jail, because he was the one who leaked so that they would have this meeting, so people saying like, oh, he got in trouble, he got caught. I mean, he's not an idiot. He wouldn't go testify to get himself in trouble. So it's like, obviously he, he's up to something. I just am not entirely sure what he knows or doesn't know.
I think what you were saying, as far as he was trying not necessarily keep his job, but he was trying to finish a case. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of open holes to that whole thing. And I agree that the Clinton thing should be big, because but I think the big thing about the Clinton thing was Lynch and the Justice Department handed out all these limited immunity things and stuff for their computers, and the way they did it really with letting Hillary's sidekicks, just because they're lawyers, they're all each other's lawyers, and they're working that angle, and so they let them into these depositions and stuff. It was just very strange, and I think that basically what she did was screwed up a case bad enough that there was no way to get a conviction. That's what I think. I think she handed out immunity and did things, screwed up enough things legally to keep Hillary from being able to be, and that's why he came out and did that whole rap, because he wanted to make sure that the world at least knew that we can't charge her, because that's also weird. They don't do that. But I did that because he wanted the world to know that, he did his job. They got all this information, what she did was horrible, and maybe thinking that a change in leadership, if it was Trump or Clinton, he needed to do that to be independent,
Another indicator to me that he knows a lot more than he's saying, and that he is going after Clinton and Trump, but he's being very careful not to mention it, because he's got to be dealing with something where it's like he is making sure that he needs the proof, because it's like there's so much politically going on with both the Clinton camp and Trump, that it's like, if he says certain things before he has the proof, like people go missing or dead or mysteriously have a heart attack or feel suicidal, like those kind of things. There's that. And then if you don't want to if you say, oh, it's a bunch of coincidences, there's something that he feels like they're getting away with something. I feel like, because if you watch the testimony, there was something weird in there that I caught that everybody else was laughing about. Was John McCain sounds like a total nut job, because he is a total nut job, but he bungled this point that he was trying to make that actually was interesting, because even though it just made him sound crazy, the way Comey responded to it was very telling. Was that he goes why'd you cut off the case with Clinton, but you're still investigating Trump? And he's like, because that was about the emails. He's like, no, why aren't you investigating Clinton over the the voter fraud thing or the electronic, if Clinton colluding too, because and so it's like these people online are making fun of John McCain, being like, oh yeah, why would she work with the Russians to attack herself? That I always watch for what the news people do or what the Clinton camp does to make something conspiracy theory and brush it under the rug, because I think that those are indicators of what they're trying to hide. That's not what he said. If you watch the testimony, what he was asking him was if you're saying that the whole thing that Trump's in trouble for with Russia has to do with Russia helping him in the election, well, Clinton elevated him. There's the forensic evidence from the WikiLeaks documents that her camp put Trump up there, and then they cheated to get Trump to that point. So it's even if they didn't do that intentionally, it was a mistake. If he's in trouble for that, why aren't they in trouble for that? And then Comey's like, well, I said that the investigation for the emails is over. Who's being investigated in this is not, we don't talk about everyone in it. And I was like, wait a minute, he just said, he did not dismiss Clinton as someone being investigated. He was basically a lot of people are being looked at, so it's not just Trump being investigated, it's people around Trump. And it was he would not tell John McCain that's stupid. He kind of dodged around it. Well, the email investigation about it is.
I think John McCain had a halfway decent question sort of mangled in there. But I also think McCain's starting to get that sort of, every once in a while in public, he does that Ronald Reagan thing where he sort of drifts away. And that was him drifting, mind was drifting, and he couldn't get it straight.
Yeah, he couldn't ask the question properly. So it was it just came out like a bunch of crazy nonsense. So Comey's just like, what? But once he understood,
he's been doing that since the
he
election.
tried to clear it up for him, and it was like he was just so dumb. McCain, like he did not seem to like he goes like, why aren't you investigating Clinton? He's like, well, first of all, I'm fired. So it's like, why are you asking me why I'm not investigating Clinton? Because I can't, because I've been fired, like he kept talking like a present tense thing.
Was a particular date. The FBI was investigating for a certain.
Okay.
And that was the Russian influence on the election. The CrowdStrike report made it suddenly be all about Russia. So that's why the CrowdStrike report and this idea that the servers were never looked at, it's the biggest problem in this whole show.
Well, I got my tinfoil hat on, and I think that at some point there's going to be a connection with Hillary and Donald.
Me too. Because go back
and
watch that thing when McCain, as crazy as he sounds, like what he's trying to ask him, and that Comey didn't say, no, that's dumb, we're not doing that. He said like, well, I'm not working the case anymore, but I never said that Hillary, we were done with Hillary or anybody else. Like we're investigating all the people around that with the Russia thing, so it was like, it was not, like I'm going after Trump, but not going after Hillary. It was like, Comey was like, when I was investigating, because I've been fired, I'm not in charge of the case anymore. That was the first crazy thing he was doing. He was just like, why aren't you doing this? It's like, because I'm not working there anymore. And but he was saying like, when I was working this case, we were looking at a lot of different people. So it's like, he didn't say, no, we're not. He said, no, we're not doing the email anymore, but that doesn't mean she won't be investigated if something comes up or that something hasn't come up, because he said, I can't talk about who we're looking at. So I found that very interesting.
Well, I think one of the things about this is it's two different road shows, Trump comes in there with a lot of like, they think of themselves as high scale, wheelers and dealers, grifter type. And, I'm sure that there's crap, that the NSA FBI got that is pretty damning to different people. And they definitely have the General Flynn. But, because that was just sort of the straight one. But like Jared Kushner and stuff. And so they've got a bunch of ins on that story. And the thing about the Hillary thing that I'd like to also, just another ball to throw in here, is if Jeff Sessions as the AG, he's just, he's just loony enough to say to himself that he's not investigating, he has recused himself from the Russia investigation. But that doesn't mean he didn't recuse himself from looking into Uranium One and all that crap,
Right.
That isn't. Don't think that that could still be out there, and that could actually be sort of a Sessions trump card, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well,
my thing is too many people are dying for this not to be huge. It's like the last time this many people died was the JFK assassination. Too many people are dying. They're all over the place. I mean, you're talking about Seth Rich, but there are a lot of people, disappearing and dying. So
this is me totally putting on the conspiracy tinfoil hat, but like this whole thing goes around election integrity, and Russia's being used as the reason why that Russia's constantly trying to hack in our machine. But as I said before, it doesn't matter like who's hacking in the machine, just that someone's hacking in the machines. And why they won't talk to people about that, why that was classified in the first place. Wouldn't they want to have a big open discussion about that as soon as they found out, people can hack in our machines? But I try not to talk about Seth Rich too much to like respect the parents, but he was looking at like voter analytics right before he was unfortunately shot by the botched robbery.
Right.
Okay, so what do you want? Sorry, I'm gonna need it.
I thought that was Hillary complaining
Whose
about
baby is that, Evan? Yours, or did you buy it?
It's Yvonne's. Russia, Russia, Russia.
Is that an actual tinfoil hat?
No.
Oh, sorry, I'm unmuted. I had been making noises. Actually, tinfoil isn't the right one. It has to be beryllium.
That's really a felt hat.
But I just wanted to use this as a joke.
Oh, there was Stevie. Hey, Stevie.
Yeah, maybe I should just leave it on. Just for fun. Nah, I'm going to take it off.
Computer, but she calls with a phone. I don't understand that.
No, she's having mic problems.
Crap. It fell apart.
Oh, like the mic on her computer doesn't work, so she calls in by phone and has the camera on at the same time?
Yeah.
Making do in the Trump economy. We're going to have to fix that.
Wow, Erik got huge.
I'm back. Sorry it took me so long. Had to kill a giant spider.
Ooh.
Yeah, wasn't pleasant. Lucky for me,
Just say the spider was being robbed.
Yeah.
What kind of a spider?
It was like I think it was a wolf spider. We have a lot of those here in Ohio, in this part of Ohio anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they poisonous?
No, but they do get pretty big, and their bite hurts a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it'll swell up too, because like they still have venom. It's just not deadly unless you're allergic. So you'll have like a giant, like swollen thing if you get bit.
I just got the
They're not
chance.
ticks, they're actual spiders.
What?
They're not ticks, they're actual spiders.
Yeah, actual spiders. But they they look like small tarantulas, except they're a bit less furry.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like they have this weird property where like if you dip them in water and then pull them out, they look like they're completely dry and like never touch the water.
Oh wow.
Why are we talking?
Oh, that's cool. I don't know.
It's because I had to murder one.
It's a halftime show, I guess.
Of all the subjects.
Were any of you guys watching Tim a few weeks ago when I called in about Bill Nye?
Oh yeah, Bill Nye.
I missed the Bill Nye thing. I was probably at work.
Yeah, it's been ticking me off that everyone still treats him like he's some god, and like takes his word on everything just because he says the word science a lot. Same with Neil Tyson. Everyone like loves Neil Tyson because he says the word science a lot and he's not afraid to be an atheist. But
well,
that doesn't.
They're pretty knowledgeable, both of them. But I think that like they also are getting. I mean, once you get to a certain status, you've got these corporations. Like you don't even realize it's the same thing with the politicians. They don't. Some of them think they're doing good. They don't realize how in bed they are with like. You know, these companies that they think they can't be influenced by it, but they're being influenced by it. Like it's like they think, oh, well, we know all the science on everything, and GMOs are harmless, and it's like, well, yeah, I have to wonder about that because like, scientists don't see an agreement. They're all on the same page on climate change. So the people who deny climate change, I think, are just like.
Well, the thing is, he's in a bubble of like all these people that just keep reaffirming his scientific.
Right.
So are you saying
that's more debated, and he's living in a bubble, is what I think.
Are you saying he's co-opting science to propagate false narratives? I guess.
Yeah, he's propagating mistruths and fallacies, especially and especially when it comes to GMOs, because like people give him credit on climate change because he's out there fighting the good fight, but then he and Neil Tyson start talking about food and biotechnology, something that neither of them have any experience working in.
Right. I mean, like Neil's specialty is astronomy, I believe. Cosmology.
Well, Neil Tyson he's part of the Planetary Society of morons that got Pluto demoted from being a planet to a dwarf.
See, you might.
Why the hell? What makes Neil deGrasse Tyson a politics expert, and why was he sitting next to Bill Maher when Cornel West got kind of ambushed?
He's
that
not.
Didn't make any sense to me.
Well, it's because he's an atheist, and Bill Maher is an atheist, right. And he likes to have atheists who say science a lot on his panel.
Okay.
Bill Maher likes to invite people who he thinks are like somewhat on the same page with him, because he's somewhere in between like a neoliberal and a libertarian, and it's a kind of a toxic mixture, Like I thought it was good originally that he was bringing up how leftist Muslims feel about people not. I mean the term Islamophobia instead of xenophobia, I think is damaging, because it's like people don't see it the same as like they see it as some sort of special treatment, like alien, either like let's treat these people nicer than everyone else, or let's treat these people meaner than everyone else because they aren't like everyone else, so I don't know, what the people on the left couldn't say anything, and it's like the only way you get you stop like fundamentalist is like having people who it's like when you have a Christian person say, oh, the Muslims are so evil, it obviously seems like an agenda of one religion versus the other religion. When you have a Muslim person say, this guy's a fucking nut job, sorry for the language, this is not how me or my friends feel. And there's room for reformation, because it's not like somebody being like, I just don't like your culture, I just don't like your people, I just don't like your race, like all those things. Like it's like so he was doing a good thing, I think, originally, but it's like he's just gone down such a sellout path, and then he brings on these people who he thinks will like reaffirm or give like a little bit of a debate, but he's just been throwing them under the bus. So I don't mean to like hijack the conversation, but Bill Maher, God, I could go on for hours about how
Maher did that. Bill Maher did that as a setup. He had all of the videos, everything already set up, and it was a hit job on Cornell, and it wasn't right. And the thing about it was, I think that he had Neil deGrasse Tyson there because he knew that he was the kind of guy that wasn't going to jump in the middle of that argument, and he was also African American, so it was kind of like he could both. That Mark can both sit there and say stupid things to Cornel West and have somebody there that's not going to jump in the middle of it and ruin his hit job.
It felt like to me, like Bill set it up like, sorry.
If that had been like Susan Sarandon, he wouldn't have got away with that. You know what I mean?
Right.
No.
I don't think Cornell should go on anymore, to be honest.
Well, the thing is, I think if Susan Sarandon was on there, she would have made him look dumb as hell, because she's such a great speaker. Whenever she went on Chris Hayes, all she had to do was say, "You're kidding, right?" And everyone immediately knew the jig was up.
I think it felt like he had it where it was like, "Here, sitting next to me is my black friend, so I can tell you, a black guy, what black people want and not get in trouble." That's what it felt like, where it was like. He wanted to put Cornel West in his place, but he needed another neoliberal black guy to be like, yeah, or at least be sitting by him, visually, so it looks okay.
Kind of mocking Cornell too.
Part of the setup.
It was kind of a setup, because it's like Neil deGrasse is gonna want someone beside, like, he's concerned about no climate change action at all. And he was saying on his Twitter, like, I don't really want to get involved politically, but I feel like I have to now. And like 3 weeks later, he went on.
I feel
Bill Maher. So probably Bill Maher took advantage of it. Like he likes Neil. He's had him on the show several times back when he was still like edgy. I think because he was being edgy instead of just now it's like he tries too hard to be edgy, Bill Maher, and it just comes off so fake.
So
it's phony.
I'm sorry to try to get away from Bill Maher, but going back to Bill Nye and Neil deGrasse Tyson, is anyone in the scientific research field or have been in
my own time? That was actually food policy, and food and farming was the original reason I got into politics.
Okay, see, here's the thing with scientific research, and it's a lot like media, really. because the funding. Oh, who's typing? All right.
It's broken carpenter.
Okay. So funding is an issue.
No, it's not. I don't know who it is.
Okay. So funding is an issue for both. So before, scientific research was mostly raised by submitting to the government for funding. And that got done away with. So you had to go out and get funding privately. And so a lot of the research to be continued, you have to go out and do some I guess fundraising. And that's how you get your research money. And I think now that it's gotten a lot worse to get funded for a lot of research, you kind of have to provide, give something back in return. It's kind of like an exchange. You get money to get funded, so you can do your research, but then you also have to probably pay back somehow.
Well, that's why all the research that is done by the companies that benefit from the passage of the GMOs and the patents.
Like the Koch brothers too. They did a very strategic thing where they started investing in colleges and research and stuff like that. But they would have all these riders and stuff about how great, they would all the studies would be to show how great fracking is, and how the paper industry is that stripping mountainside trees isn't a bad thing, and all this crap, as far as that science goes, I tell you honestly, guys, I have no idea. I don't know where to fall on that one because, the people that talk about it, the people that are on the news or in the media talk about it as a safe thing. And, that doesn't mean anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so, without being a scientist, and, I think to some extent being able to read all the peer-reviewed research and see because that's the thing about this stuff is, the actual science is peer-reviewed, and it's usually fair. So, unless the thing you do is see where it was studied, see how they got their money and everything else, and see if that may have had an effect. But I think the science is pretty straight on things. Most of the stuff.
Yeah.
As far as like university studies.
I think the issue that he has is the way that Bill Nye turns, and I mean, this isn't even really Bill Nye's fault because on the TV you're going to get turned into sound bites, so like you can't really talk about the nuances too much. But I have noticed that he very broadly suggests that there is no problems with GMOs at all, and it's all blah, blah, blah. But that it's like for the most part they're fine. They're not going to poison you, but like there are issues with GMOs that it's not, like it can cause problems that, there's different papers on it where I was reading one where it's like they're more susceptible to certain diseases because they alter. It's not the same thing as like they talk about like you can like mix you can make hybrid on your own with plants, and I'm just starting to learn about that, but like what they do is like
gene splicing is completely different from selective breeding. Like selective breeding happens in nature. That's an interaction between a plant and an animal, and the animal and the plant, because animals will eat the tastier ones, and then they'll go and they'll poop out the seeds, and then more of that plant will come up with fertilizer from the poo. And, and like we all kind of like choose what we want to eat, and humans done that for thousands of years. That's why they turned teosinte into corn. But what they're doing now is like they'll take like the silk gene out of a spider and put it into a goat's milk, and so now you can get spider silk out of goat's milk, or you'll have they'll virally insert genetic markers into corn to make it BT corn, and so instead of spraying on the botulinum toxin,
right? They put they fill the pesticides in basically.
No, they don't put the pesticides in.
Well, it's like an alternative. It's like
the purpose of like, BT is the purpose of my late wife actually worked at that Monsanto as a researcher, and the purpose of the BT corn wasn't to make it be a pesticide. It was to make it unsusceptible so that they could use more pesticides on the crop.
No, that's Roundup Ready. You're getting confused between BT corn and Roundup Ready soybeans. Roundup Ready soybeans are the ones that they genetically modified so you could spray 30 times more Roundup on.
Yeah.
BT corn, they virally insert genetic markers into the DNA of the corn that makes every single cell of the corn produce the BT toxin.
Yeah, I can't go back and ask her.
Well, I'm right now. I have a website pulled up called Biotech Salon, which is a bunch of former Monsanto and former Dow and DuPont and Bayer biotech scientists that left because of ethical reasons, and it's just run by them, and it's basically a blog by them where they debunk every single GMO argument, and like they're not against research for GMOs, but the biggest argument against them is patenting life. Because
the other thing though is to full disclosure, I'm not a geneticist. I just help them with the delivery, and think of it like a pizza restaurant. I don't make the pizza; I fold the box.
Okay.
It doesn't get delivered without the box, so it's an important job. So I can't answer all of the molecular biologist questions, but I will be on the patent for one GMO plant. And one of the things is, for us, we're 10 years away from the actual modification. There's permits and things you have to go to. What's happening with these large companies is they get it done 6 months. And so they don't quite go through the same level of carefulness. I feel that a smaller organization goes through.
Well, that's because they don't have to. They can just pay off the EPA like they did for Roundup back in the 70s, because the Roundup was originally marked as a carcinogen in the 70s, and then Roundup was like, hey, we'll give you guys some money if you say it's perfectly safe again. And so they did, and then now there's a class action lawsuit because citizens all across the country are getting non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and the European Union was like, hey, we've known all this time that it's doing that.
Yeah, in fact, this happens a lot. Do you know that the limits for hazardous materials were changed by Coke and Pepsi?
Mm-hmm.
The original having to have a hazardous label would have included Coke and Pepsi delivery trucks because of the acidity level of the Coke and Pepsi.
Mm.
And they rose the minimum, they changed the zone just to allow those trucks to not have hazardous material signs on them.
Yeah, it's the minimal exposure level. It's out. They figure it on, what is it, a 40-hour week, 180-pound man, I think. And so, like, if you're smaller, if you weigh less, so a lot of those things that they changed were, I mean, I worked around toxic waste, so like I would read like you're saying, they had to make an MSDS sheet. I once asked somebody at a Home Depot, I wanted to see the MSDS sheet for the treated lumber, because I was going to build something and my kids were going to be around it. And this guy looked at me like, even they got like the second manager type guy, and they were just like, and I said, if you handle this stuff legally, you got to have an MSDS, somewhere on the site. There's got to be an MSDS book that you can look at, and that was
must be shown to employees. It doesn't have to be shown to customers.
Well, this is true, but maybe if I'm buying it and I'm handling it and they're delivering it to me, other than maybe going to the company, you'd be bound to go to the company. But, either way, let's put it this way, if it was delivered, I could have the delivery guys look it up.
If you had an employee, you would have the right to ask for it to show your employee.
Yeah. But, the thing about corn that bugs me is not only all the different weird stuff they're doing, but it's the patenting of seed. And then what happens is they've forced all the farmers now to have to buy from one or two companies, and the seed, and they can't save seed. It used to be that farmers just saved seed and then they grew next year's crop with the seed they saved and they sold the rest. That was
On it again.
that's cross pollinated with all the patented things. So even the farmers that planted originally a certain breed of corn were getting this patented crap blown into their field. Their corn would show it. They actually would have raids with like guys with guns and crap, like SWAT teams, FBI, or whatever it is, the FDA, FBI, whatever they are. They would roll in and like take their food from them because it showed cross pollination, and so it really screwed over the small farmer.
Oh yeah, completely. Like they and then if your field gets contaminated, they'll send executives like private mercenaries to come and intimidate you into signing over your farm to them. That way they can use your land. Or you have to get into a contract with them where you're going to grow their stuff and rebuy their seeds every single year, and basically go into debt and become a slave to Monsanto for the rest of your life. And slavery is actually one of the big goals of these companies with the patenting of life. Because if you think about when we start getting designer babies and disease-free children and all that, if they can patent life, that means that if you want to have kids, you have to go through these companies, and they'll own you and they'll own your babies, and that's basically slave like the legal slavery again.
I was showing them in the chat because I was trying not to interrupt you guys talking about Monsanto, but I was just laughing because I was skimming Twitter at the same time, and Julian's just posting he's calling Comey a lousy leaker, so it was making me laugh. So I went in the chat to tell them, saying why he's like the worst leaker ever, and I'm just like, he is definitely Lestrade, Comey, and then Julian Sherlock, and then Edward Snowden can be Watson.
Yeah, any of you guys know what 2,4-D is?
What? What's 2,4-D?
Well, the EPA and the federal government just re-legalized 2,4-D for use on farmers' fields, and 2,4-D is one half of the Agent Orange formula because the weeds.
Wait a minute, Agent Orange isn't a nickname for Trump? This whole time, I thought when people were talking about that on Twitter, it was like some sort of inside joke.
Agent Orange was the chemical, the herbicide that they sprayed in Vietnam that's caused all the children over there to have birth defects and all of our soldiers to die from cancer.
Oh my gosh!
It was
pop up on Twitter, and I thought it was some sort of like code name with the Hillary people for Trump. Like they kept names for him.
It isn't. They made it into that, but originally it was a defoliant. They used it as a defoliant. And they dropped it all over Vietnam, and the soldiers were handling it and everything else. So, yeah, we used to use DDT. Don't wait; these idiots will start using it again.
Oh yeah, DDT is still in our systems. Like if you were to test every single person in America's urine today, you'd find DDT.
Yeah.
Well, they figure it this way, man. Like worrying about a lot of this crap. Don't worry about it, because what's going to happen is eventually some super strain of deadly bugs going to hit it, because everybody's taking all these antibiotics, and they're just, and between that, the antibiotics in dairy and meat, it's at a point where everybody's systems, the water we drink, everything's got it in it, and it's eventually got to build life will form there, and whatever forms it will transmit somehow. So,
well, yeah, the scary thing is it just won't be us, because humans don't evolve fast enough to get past 2,4-D.
Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, it's how they're going to use it and who they're going to kill, and it's going to be the people that sort of are populist nationalists that think that Trump is doing the right thing with, especially, our government never really does the right thing, but at least they thought Trump would come in there. He's going to change these rules. But the thing is, he's changed a lot of these rules for the worse. That infrastructure program, you can guarantee that thing's going to open up national park land and crap to people to do awful shit on it,
Well, that's why everyone has to call their representatives. Like, that's the most effective thing, is if everyone raises hell about the national parks, then the Republicans wouldn't dare touch them. The thing is that nobody's paying attention to that because everyone's too busy talking about Russia and Comey and Trump and Covfefe and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, I hope that's one of the themes. That's one of the things we were talking earlier about Bernie and everything, and everybody was talking about different directions. That's my problem right now, and I think sort of why I believe Bernie's just laying back and waiting to see what builds towards 2020. Even if he just throws his support behind somebody and and campaigns with them, that will be a sign. Like if it was a Tulsi or something. But but the thing about it is right now there's so many groups out there that are trying to either monetize it, or they're a little group trying to actually do good things as far as moving sort of movement politics, but they're too small and not connected to the other. And so I feel like everything's sort of in the air right now, and things like this and things like Tim Black and indie media sort of staying on some points and some issues, like Bernie doing it too, is just being sort of issue based is really important. And our representatives are doing this rush crap, and that's why we have to do the other thing.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
We're all in agreement that Bill Nye generalizes a little too much.
Well, he's just flat out lying at this point.
Well, in his opinion, he thinks he's not. He thinks like, oh, well, this is the minor stuff. I don't think he's intentionally lying. I think he's just like typical arrogant.
Wait, could someone mute their YouTube stream?
Is that who's talking? Why is there an echo?
That's Coco's.
It might be Ariel.
Yeah, it probably is.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, is somebody had the thing on? Okay. I was getting really confused by that. I heard myself at the same time I was talking, and I was like, "Who's talking? That's me talking." Oh, but like if you think about, they use that as an example a lot when they try to, remind the scientific community not to be arrogant with these general consensuses when things are still being researched. Is I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he was a doctor who. He started to realize, like, you know what? I think the reason so many babies are dying is because we're not washing our hands. And the scientific community at the time thought that was absurd and offensive, like saying that they were dirty and how dare you, like this guy was like a crackpot. And they like literally locked him up in a mental institution for being so crazy. And they found out like 15 years later or something, he died in there, that he was right. So it was like, they're still doing the same thing today, where it's like, because they have a lot of research and they have a lot of, like forensic evidence, they think like, well, that makes this the reality. But it's oftentimes they think they have the whole puzzle, but they only have like 1/4 of the puzzle. And when they put the other parts of the puzzle together, like, oh shit. like this thing we thought was good here actually affects this and this as well. So at the moment, Bill Nye's thinking like, I know what I'm talking about, because I've done so much research, but like he may not know everything, or he may think the other stuff that you're bringing up is insignificant compared to the greater good. But it's like, the problem is that they keep saying this about GMOs, and obviously there's enough scientists that are debating this that like there is some issues, and it's weird that they don't want to talk about those issues, or they keep pushing that those issues are so minor. Like in other research subject, when issues come up, they don't do that. But they say it's to stop the people who are trying to say, GMOs are evil altogether. But it actually, I think it creates more of a pushback when they do that.
Well, here, let me ask you this.
It's like they're trying. When it comes off like they're trying to hide something, it makes the people who do, feed into conspiracy theories like more paranoid. Like it's not a really smart strategic thing to do from a sense psychologically. Like a psychologist would tell these scientists, stop doing that. Like just label the GMOs, and then people will forget about it. Once they started labeling the calories at McDonald's, people are still eating the McDonald's.
Well, let me ask you this: if the GMOs are really better for us and they really were helpful, then why did they fight so hard against them? The reason, because if they were good for you, they'd market the shit out of them. Like it would be everywhere. Like it would be in giant, big, bold letters, like the PAL thing in comic books. Like, because whenever back in the 20s, whenever they thought radioactive enemas were good to people, they marketed the hell out of those. It's like if GMOs really were good for us, they market the hell out of them,
right?
And they would not discourage testing. Right now, they discourage testing. Like there was a guy in France who did a longer than 90-day study of GMO corn on mice, and it was one of the worst results we'd ever seen in a GMO study because it actually was longer than 90 days. And ever since then, Monsanto, Dow, DuPont, Bayer, they've all been just smearing the guy nonstop.
Mm-hmm. I don't know enough about that to comment on that. To me, I think it's just arrogance. Like they're getting money from these people and they think it's legit. Like there's a reason this company is as big as it is. Like people too often associate financial wealth with like authority and success. Like it's the American way. And it's like when you look through our history, there's so many products that were actually bad for us that they marketed as good for us that it's like, you think they would have learned by now?
It's not about that. It's about the money. I mean, that's all it ever is. I mean, it's like anytime you see something rotten being done to people, you got to look at who stands to gain, and that's really it. It's like it's not. I once got into this really funny, almost like scrap with my dad's sister, who's my aunt. She ate so poorly her whole life. I mean, every time I went over to their house, they always had like stacks and stacks of like full sugar sodas, white bread, hot dogs, processed cheese, the whole thing. And you could just tell it was not a healthy diet. So she ended up with type 2 diabetes. Now it's like she's really starting to wake up out of that. She started eating a better diet and she was able to reverse a lot of the symptoms because you can do that with type 2 diabetes. But I remember getting into this talk with her not that long ago where she started in with this whole thing about Monsanto, and she's like, oh, I really think that, they just wanted to help feed people and they just wanted. I was like, are you kidding me? That's not it. I said, it's about the money. It has nothing to do with, well, maybe technically, sure, they, the GMO'd foods maybe grow easier in the short term, right? And so
not even that. It's just money, like pure money.
Officially, you can feed more people, but let's face it, somebody's getting filthy rich on this.
Well, that's one of the big fallacies that Bill Nye I have issue with him pushing, is that he pushes the idea that GMOs feed more people when that has never, ever been proven in a single study. Like the European Union has come out and said that small organic local farms feed the majority of the world, and that's the way it's going to have to be from here until forever because giant corporate GMO farms are unsustainable.
The reality is the small farms are going away. And in actuality, the small farms don't feed people en masse. They just don't. It's not logistical.
Well, no, I mean around the world, like in other countries, like if you don't include the United States, the norm is that everyone eats locally grown food from local farmers. Like small farms feed the majority of the planet.
Maybe
in the United States, small farms are making a comeback. It's just very difficult because they regulate small farms more than they regulate ginormous farms.
And you basically cannot compete as a smaller farmer unless you get industrialized.
I think we have a major problem here in general with things getting monopolized. Because even though the bigger farms are supposedly helpful for XXX reasons, we also have the problems of like now that we have these giant factory farms for animals, it's getting in the way of climate change. And it's they're being inhumanely tortured and all that, and it's like, well, we got to get the meat for the people, and Americans eat so much freaking meat. It's like, you don't need that much damn meat, okay?
This is my book.
Calm down. And
this is the one that changed my life. Anyway, no, I mean this is the one that back in 1989 I read this as a 12-year-old and it changed my whole life. But no, that is more what it's about. The problem is definitely more in animal agriculture than it is in growing vegetables. But the trouble is with the vegetables and the plant life and the fruits is, yes, the genetic modification and the overuse of pesticides and all kinds of nefarious chemicals. Not that those don't get used in animal agriculture as well, but the trouble is, and this is actually true, if you go watch that documentary Cowspiracy, I highly, highly recommend it. It's one of the best ones I've seen about animal agriculture.
Very misleading, though. I've seen it. It's very misleading. It cherry picks a lot of statistics out of the context of their studies.
I'll be right back, guys.
But the fact is, you're gonna get more air pollution and stuff out of animal agribusiness, especially when it comes to cows and pigs.
That's true.
It's always been that way. I'm sorry to tell you, it's always been that way. Read this. I've been into this since I was 11 years old, and I'm 40 now.
Stevie, are you good with audio? Oh, give me a second.
Yeah.
Stevie?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That
took a while.
There's just too much negative to it, and if you talk about converting to small farms, it's not realistic to have a heavy meat diet, because literally, it takes more land to grow grass-fed beef than you could ever put, in the, I hate to say it, it's like if you're going to be a meat eater and you're going to live in this industrial society with over 8 billion people on the planet, you're looking at factory farming.
Well, and that's the thing is people need to eat less meat. Like I made a promise that I'm only going to eat meat if I kill it myself.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
I'm taking the responsibility for it and owning it.
I give thumbs up.
Like I had it, yesterday, I actually had the first animal that I killed and butchered myself yesterday. There was a big snake out in my garden that got itself trapped and it wouldn't allow me to free it. Like it just would not. It was like getting itself more tangled up in the net, and it was suffering. So I put it out of its misery, and I had some snake in its offal for dinner yesterday.
Really? Maybe it depends on the snake, but some snake is.
Well, I would point this out, that there's a group, the Amish, still manage to grow their own food,
right,
have surplus that they can sell at market. I don't know what kind of a footprint they make and how practical it is, but they still do it.
Right.
And, so the idea that there are lots of people that are sort of living that lifestyle. There are, people that grow as much and raise as much meat and everything for themselves. And I mean, we didn't do as much gardening just because it was too much work for me after work. But as far as the animals and stuff, we had animals, and the thing about all the science and stuff is I've got to say this is I'm sort of like, I've got to take the Play-Doh deal where Play-Doh, everybody in town was selling Play-Doh. The Oracle at Delphi said, you are like the smartest guy in the world. And so Plato goes up the mountain to visit this guy. And he says, I don't think I'm the smartest guy in the world. I don't think I know. And he says, that's why. And it's because he would say, I don't know. And in this case, I don't know. But, I feel like it's an issue that it's a lot of it is based on how much we destroyed Mexican agriculture, small farm agriculture with NAFTA.
Absolutely.
And so the thing about it is, if we switch from just a corn-based society and started growing other things besides corn, but Archer Daniels Midland is supermarkets to the world. And they have been, and they advertise every Sunday because they know they own the news and they own what comes out of it.
Absolutely.
So,
I think what's sad is because I do a lot of survivalist type of things and watch a lot of it. And whoever's Bram, man, can you mute when you type below a big amount of stuff?
Sorry about that.
That's right. I do that too. So there's a lot of wild plants and stuff that grew in America because Native Americans, they cultivated it, had wild farms actually. So they would it can grow wild where they were, but they would only take a certain portion of it, so a lot of it can keep growing.
Like hopness.
I don't remember, what was that?
Hopness. It's called
hopness. Hopness, yeah. So the thing is, when cities are being built in America, it's usually in places where it's resource rich, right? So when people are trying to do these survivalist things out in the wild, they're actually having a harder time doing it because all these places that are out there aren't resource rich.
Right.
All these resource rich places that have been settled. So when they have to go out in these remote areas, there's really not much there, and it's harder to survive, have good smaller local farming areas, because it has to be in a lot of the bigger cities have had the better resources when they first settled there.
Yes.
So when you're trying to do,
you're touching on some big stuff, Ivan.
Well, have you guys ever heard of permaculture?
Yes.
Well, permaculture is the only way to sustainably raise meat for edible consumption and like farming, because it uses the historic guide of like sustainability and meat raising, where it's like you don't raise animals unless the ground is too steep to do farming of plants on. Right. Or unless you live in an area where you can't grow plants all year round. Like if you live up in England, that's where you'd slaughter the pigs in the fall. That way you had something to eat throughout the winter to last the spring.
Yeah, and that's also why, traditionally in the old days, really not even that far back, having a lot of sugar or a lot of meat was actually more of a luxury. It was more rare. You didn't really get that much of that very often because, lack of refrigeration especially. You couldn't keep it around. You couldn't freeze it. So if you had it, you had to eat it right then or very quickly, or smoke it, or, preserve it somehow.
Yeah, that's what preserving meats, like salting was a big thing. Salting and creating like hams and that kind of thing.
Canning,
I'm really interested in all that kind of stuff. Like there's a show I watch. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's from England. It's called River Cottage with Hugh Fernley Whittingstall. He's a chef from England who went and lived off of the land back in the 90s, and then started some farms, like they're kind of like permaculture farms. And he's done stuff like that.
That's really cool. But yeah, Ivan, what you're saying is it touches on a lot of what like guys like James Howard Kunstler talk about how a lot of they have this dream in their head like we're just going to recreate everything, but the trouble is the resources literally are not there. Yeah. You can't just start all over because we've sunk the bulk of our easily accessible resources into the society we now have.
Yeah.
The whole idea of like rooftop farming on skyscrapers, it's like it's a nice idea, but really it would not work.
Yeah.
These are going to be, social wastelands, in the coming days. No one's going to be able to repurpose skyscrapers and office buildings.
And the biggest, I guess you could say, like the ocean, right? It has so much animal life in it, enough food. And when we started damming our rivers and, because irrigation or to have reservoirs for towns, is you stop the natural path of certain fish to migrate upstream to lay their eggs. Like we only have landlocked salmon here in Massachusetts. We used to have Atlantic salmon that actually went up into the rivers and spawned.
Well, every river in America used to have eels that went out and spawned in the Sargasso Sea in the fall, and then they'd swim in the spring. Like every river in the world actually used to have eels that would go out and breed in the Sargasso Sea, and then they would swim inland and then grow up inland. And it was kind of like the reverse of salmon, because like salmon come in to spawn and then they'll go out and live their life, whereas eels go out to spawn and then come in to live their life. And all the coastal rivers and like New England and Oregon and like all them, they used to have salmon, and then the damming stopped that, and then all the rivers in America used to have eels, and the damming stopped that.
Yeah, it's interesting in Oregon. I lived there for 8 years, and so I saw a lot of things, and it's interesting up there because Northwest Indian groups are really different to the ones out on the East Coast. For one, when Europeans first started coming in, East Coast Indians were a lot more welcoming to them. I mean, that's why they call the Cherokee, amongst others, one of the 5 civilized tribes, because they kind of tried to fit in. They owned land and everything, slaves and plantations, just like the white people did in the South. But by the time, Europeans made the push to the West, it was a very different attitude. So they're a lot more like, stay out of here. And so in Oregon, the Indian nations actually have sovereign rights to fish the salmon. So they have salmon festivals and all kinds of stuff, down in downtown Portland, which is pretty wild if you actually see them bringing a big old salmon. Those things are huge. And watch them cut that thing up. I mean, I feed a lot of people just that one fish. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they can get up to 800 pounds.
They're huge. But here's the thing, see, there's all kinds of nasty stuff. I mean, it's a lot of radioactivity up in the Northwest, which is a real shame. The Columbia River is getting more and more radioactive. I don't recommend getting yourself in it if you go up there. And so as a result, of that and climate shift and all of the things that are happening, there's been a lot of die-off and a lot of weird stuff happening with the normal salmon runs. It's really a horrible shame.
Yeah, and a lot of it could have just sustained local populations, and
Right.
which sucks.
Well, that's just like even England. England used to have salmon, and then when they lost it, whenever they started putting in all the water wheels in the mills for grain, and they were like, well, we can crush this grain and turn it into bread. But then what they didn't realize until after it was too late is that they lost the salmon, which was, 5 times as nutritious as the bread they were eating.
Yeah. I mean, everyone knows salmon is like one of the best, like wild salmon is like one of the healthiest, most nutritious. The oils, the meat, and everything, they're just perfect, I guess. The perfect food.
I got a call to do a farm today.
Oh.
What was that, Snork?
I got a call to do a farm today. The project could start in about 2 years. There's a lot of legwork you have to do ahead of time. What you'd mentioned before about being near the resources, we're probably going to have to build the farm in the United States and put it on a ship and then reassemble it down there. It will be a factory farm. It will not be like cows, pigs, and stuff. It'll be some other creature.
Where are you putting it, or where's the farm going to be?
In South America.
Do you know like what country or like an area? Like it'll be like in a desert or a rainforest, or
will that be in a desert or directly in a rainforest?
Well, I mean,
we're not cutting one down to put it in.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was. Yeah.
Whether one used to be there or not, I'm not sure.
Well, if you're looking for good animals that you can grow you can raise sustainably in the tropics, ducks are good.
The animal's already chosen.
Oh, okay.
But they brought it up a year ago. It was to go in Ecuador, and the earthquakes there have so damaged the region that they will not have the resources to be able, or the infrastructure to support any kind of economic activity for years.
So who here knows about the palm oil trees?
That's not good.
That's very unsustainable.
Is my mic working?
Yep.
Yeah, very quiet. But
there's all kinds of habitats being torn apart for all sorts of different corporate, profit expediency, that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of things. I mean, the oldest thing in the book is destruction of rainforest for beef. And the palm oil, that's a thing too. That's another big one.
Yeah, if you're gonna get stuff with vegetable oil in it, try to get like coconut oil or like olive oil, and then also be careful because most of the olive oils aren't actually olive oil.
I know there's a lot of messing around with that stuff.
Like there's a good book by a guy, I forget his name, but the book is called Extra Virgin, and it's about how shady the olive oil industry is and how like all it takes is like 3 drops of olive oil into a giant bottle of soy oil, and they can now call it olive oil, and they'll add a little bit of like perfume to make it smell like olives.
Hey, what business was the Godfather in? And where did Michael end up? He was in with the politicians.
You did the I'm gonna do it. Triggered.
You popped up on the screen, Eric.
If they want somebody like me to consult on a farm, it's not going to be a huge. It's going to be an automated farm, 100%. There'll be some workers, but not very many, and it'll be right where they can have it get to market. So probably we'll be seeing the same things happening in the United States soon.
Nice muscle, Steph.
Yep.
What's that? Oh,
she's working it.
It's working out while talking to you.
Looking hot.
Nothing wrong with that.
Very fidgety person. So. Putting it in shape while we.
Right. Get ready to kick some butt.
My pound weight.
I was just thinking she was working on those Michelle Obama arms, being there, that all that.
Having my arms, it's like being on camera. That I'm like, you know what? I could stand to do like 20 reps right now. So I get a little subconscious on camera. So if I do this, I'll feel better about it.
Well, even on my big, even I like walked over to look at everybody, see what everybody's names were on the blocks, because I can't see it on my pad, but I walk over there and I'm looking at everybody. And when I sit over here, trust me, it's like watching little boxes. It's perfectly, if I look okay enough to be on here, everybody looks okay enough. Although I did wear my birdie shirt tonight.
Nice.
I got the cornbread shirt.
I love
I'm wearing my Pokemon shirt tonight.
I need to get a T-shirt of Tim Black because I realized that I got the hoodie, and I'm like, and I got the Bernie sweater in the winter. So it's like I voted for a revolution. I'm like, dang, I don't have any summer Tim Black gear. I need to get some. Yeah. I ordered the mug from him, and I ordered the T-shirt from WikiLeaks. So next month I'm going to get the tank top from Tim. That's what I'll do. Cute. I try to order something every month, so I'm like contributing.
I need HA needs to make a shirt. HA Goodman, man, he just did something awesome. He retweeted or tweeted something about the, huh?
Does he sell merchandise at all?
No, I think Tim's wanting him to, and I want him to. He just did.
I have ideas.
What?
I'll draw them a shirt of their heads.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one. Like when he says, when the NSA knows what breakfast that you ate and what underwear you're wearing.
Oh.
It would be funny.
Another is.
I think this is a T-shirt with just, my name is H.A. Goodman. You can find my stuff. It just in real small print, go right across to keep on going across.
Yeah, I like carpet.
It's like going smaller.
It's gotta be on a polo shirt though.
Oh, polo shirt. There you go.
I will see if he wants that because I will draw that for him.
Another thing that he's been doing lately, because he's been cursing a lot. But he knows that there's people who probably don't like his cursing, so he'll warn people, like, coming up soon, just so people know. I don't know his exact words, but he says it quite
profanity
often.
Alert.
Yeah, profanity alert.
Get the kids out of the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, get the kids out of the room.
So, but yeah,
do you remember that brief spell that Jimmy Dore tried to keep his language contained a couple months ago? Like, because people complained, and then he'd be like. And then he would just be talking about Obama's bombing innocent kids, and he'd be like, "Fuck you, Obama," and then he'd be like, "Oh, dang it, I messed it up."
He used to have a swear jar. He'd put $1 in it each time.
They say if a person swears, it means they're more honest. Like, because everybody's thinking it in their head, so it's like the more honest person just says it. But at the same time, like, I try to learn manners. It's like I'll do it, but
yeah.
If you do it too much, you get in the habit. Like, I went to the Renaissance Fair with my little sister just the other week, and there were kids. I didn't even notice them, and I'm like, it's fucking hot, And then I was like, oh my God, the kids are like right there, And
I tell you how you do it. You have kids. You have kids because my experience is I could come home from a day of using the word fuck as every kind of word in the English language, and every other word too. because everybody else did, but I was just better at it. And so I would have to come home. So it was like there was carpenter dad and then there was home dad, and that's the way it was, because I'd have two different, I'd have to shift gears or my kids would have really foul mouths. And I managed to just instill enough, like my daughter, I'm sure she's the kind of person that, eventually you can get her to just unbolt on you, but she's also restrained enough to understand not to. But I put enough in them that they know how to use it.
I was restrained until I started learning about politics and how awful people are, like Cheney and Kissinger.
Hey, don't be making fun of Kissinger. He has a Nobel Peace Prize.
Oh, shut up.
just like Obama.
Yeah. And I would remind you.
Sorry. That was just too much a troll. You're sitting there smiling. While you're saying it, you're like, he has the Nobel. I'm like, oh my god.
I did.
I was in a grocery store, and now it's like you go into grocery store or the drugstore or the pet food store, wherever you go, at the register they'll corner you and they'll say, do you want to donate money to the poor little kids or the poor little pets or the whatever little thing? And before it's like you're cornered. So you're either going to say yes, and your money is going somewhere you didn't even get a chance to research. They just got you. Or you say no, and you kind of look like a jerk. So I just couldn't.
The same thing
They did that to me yesterday. They said, you want to give $1 to the little kids? And I said, nah, let them die. And the lady reading me, her mouth just went, and
triggered.
The southern black dude bagging the groceries, like he's like, I know what you're talking about. I said, you know what I'm talking about. I said, here's the thing. It's not that I'm uncharitable. I give a lot of money to different causes, but I get to vet them. I get to see what they're about. But here you stand here and say, oh, do you want to help out? It's like, well, no. So does that just mean, oh yeah, let them die? That's why I said it, because it just seems so ridiculous. And I said, the fact is, I don't have any health insurance. I said, why don't we put up a can? We'll have the Ariel Fund, and we'll see how I do by the end of the night. See if them kids will give me $1. How about that? So we all got problems. I'm trying to feed myself and my rabbits and help my dad that's got cancer. And, everybody's got trouble. It's like, but they've got a corporation, see? So they can ask for money. Now, it's funny, too, because I live in a really, I would say, snotty, overly gentrified area. And I said, what happens if the homeless guy asks for $1? Well, the cop's likely to come and put him away or tell him to leave. But I can go into the store and get professionally panhandled. How's that work?
Not only that, but if you give it at the store, Kmart here got in trouble for making everybody ask for a donation for something, no matter what, every single transaction.
Wow.
And they charge a 95% acquisition fee. So they only give less than 5% of it to their cause.
Right.
And then what they do is at some point at the end of the program, they give a check with a big number on it to a group. But if you actually looked at what the huge number was that was above it of all the people that gave, I'm of that opinion too. I only give it to charities that I know are gonna work out.
Oh, but, one of my favorites.
That thing hit me up, man. I walk into the store and somebody looks at me and asks me for money. Like I give them a look, and after a lifetime of working in construction, I can do a look, and they just don't ask. I said no. At the very, I only got to say no, and nobody questions it, so that is work. I don't feel bad about it because, like you say, I'm not going to be pressured. I don't feel any pressure at that, because one, the person asking me is asking me because they've been told to, pretty much rah into this, and I'm no. It's like I don't have it to throw away,
Have you ever listened to any?
$6 right now is another gram, or another gram of pot, and right now I'm in betwixt, so it's not like I have enough medicine at all times. So it matters.
Have you ever listened to any stand-up by Doug Stanhope? He has this one about the corporate fun runs, like, you know, these charity runs. And he said, what's the deal with that? You know, he's like, you know, the guy will say, well, I gotta get the sponsors to raise for the charity. And, you know, every time I run around the block, you know, I get 25 cents or whatever it is. And he said, well, if that's the case, why can't you just go to these companies and ask them to cut you a check for the cure? Why are they so sadistic? They've got to have to watch you run around before they'll help you out.
You know what they should do is, instead of having like these races, have like some giant like wheel or like hamster wheel, so they generate electricity and they could sell the electricity and use that money to
right. Hey, good idea.
Give to
That's not bad.
When we were at Occupy Portland,
oh yeah,
we had 2 parks at that point, and they needed one park was promised to, oh, I can't remember. It's this gigantic run they do in Portland every year, and so we said, okay, everybody moved their gear into one park, and they boxed like a dozen of us in, like we were the camp holders for that day. You know, we had to stay within there. If we left, we weren't allowed back in, all that, you know. So that was very weird, because there's all this stuff. They plastered the outside of it with banners and stuff. So there was, you know, you couldn't see what was in the park. And, you know, but they had this, there was this really cool, like, it may be on YouTube. There was this moment when there's this story, and the woman told the story, and it made me cry when I was in Portland, because she came to an Occupy a General Assembly and stood up and told us this story. She was this woman who was like at the end of the pack, and it was her like life's dream to finish one of these races. And she came over the hill, and they had started marching behind the runners, and she saw all the people, and she like lost hope. And then all of the people saw her, and they opened up a big thing and started cheering for her. And she ran through this crowd of all the occupiers that were outside of the fence, and it was this beautiful moment. And her story of how she at that moment, she thought she had lost it. She thought she wouldn't be able to go on, and then she saw all the people turn and start cheering, and you know, it like gave her everything she needed. It was like this, and the fact they caught video of it and stuff, it was a beautiful moment.
Yeah,
you know, but I didn't see it because I was boxed in. Not knowing what would happen. By the way, we didn't know what would happen. You know, it was like one of the deals
year
we
was
made.
that going on again?
2011. I got posters on. I got posters
Crazy.
on the wall, so I could tell.
The year that Fukushima blew. Wow. So much has changed in only.
So it was probably like October 8th, maybe October 7th.
Yeah.
That race happened, because it started on October 6th.
Right. Yeah.
Ours did.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I mean, that was just an interesting story about runners. But
yeah.
No, I mean, let's put it this way. Once I got to a certain point after high school, that the idea of running for anything but away from something never you know, the idea of running anywhere, just, you know, I worked like a job after high school. They were having us we were doing canvassing for some, I don't know, some water softener company or something, man. Like the guy that's training us, he's got the collared shirt on it. He's doing the running from house to house. Now I'm dressed, you know, at that point in like, you know, a 7-year-old t-shirt and ripped up blue jeans. And I'm looking at, you know, my partner that was out there with me. He started to jog, and I grabbed his arm. I said, I just shook my head. I said, no, we ain't jogging nowhere, bro. Yeah, we'll get there when he, you know. Nobody pays me to run. They pay me enough to run anywhere.
Have you ever seen, and you may have, because this is a pretty infamous video on YouTube of the guy in Alabama. He's an older guy, and they were doing a news story, and the background is that the arsenal is down there in Alabama. That it's funny enough, it's really definitely a big part of the industrial military complex. And so they had organized a fun run, and so all the rich people with their Mercedes Benzes had gotten dressed up and ran around, pretending to do something. And so as the news crew was wrapping, this old guy is over there across the street just ranting. And most people mistakenly think that he was like drunk or crazy. And he starts going on about how, this and that. And the news guy kind of gets curious. And so they turn the camera back on to him. And he says, "What's got you so mad today?" And he's like, "Because everybody wants to run. Everybody wants to run. That's good. You run from here to Gunnersville. I'll walk. I'll be right behind you and see how far you can run." And he goes on this rant about, this a chauvinistic attitude. This is back when Clinton was still president. And he's talking about how, really his whole rant, he did that strutting that ass. So basically what he was saying is that, you think you can do something, think you're going to go out and do something because you don't have to walk everywhere. So you're going to come out here, you work at the arsenal, you got your Mercedes Benz, you don't have to walk everywhere to get around, you're not suffering. So you're going to put on all your gear and do a corporate sponsored fun run. And so it's actually kind of prophetic. I would love to see what this guy would have said about all the people with their iPhones and their arm pad. Every time I see somebody running with a phone attached to their arm, I want to tackle them and try to put a quarter in their arm and say, "Can I make a call?" Because there's no more phone booths anymore. So the only way, if you're really in an emergency, on a phone, you got to tackle someone with a phone on their arm, try to make a call. But the strutting that ass, that's one of the funniest videos. But it's actually really insightful what he's saying. It's like, even though he comes off as this nutty, kind of craft drunken, crazy guy, what he's really saying is that, nobody walks or runs or does the physical action out of necessity anymore. It's not, they're all rich enough and they got their cars and they can run around. This guy obviously was more working class, and so he probably did have to walk back and forth to Gunnersville for a job. And he was just angry. He's like, these rich bastards at the arsenal driving their Mercedes, and they're gonna come here and do this thing. So yeah, anytime you want to see something really funny, go to YouTube and type in "strutting that ass."
I can relate. I live in suburbia and I have to walk everywhere because I'm 18 and I said I'm not paying for insurance for being 18 because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It is. Oh, sigh. I would just wish we'd wake up tomorrow and all have health care. That's ridiculous. We should all have access to that.
Oh, we should.
I'm very lucky when it comes to that because my stepdad is part of the steelworkers unions, so he gets alt care, which is really, really good.
Are you able to be covered by that?
I am for another 8 more years.
Okay, well, that's good.
At least as of the current, laws and standing. If the Republicans were to repeal that before 2018, then I might lose coverage, and then I'd, just have to not go to the hospital, not get sick. But I'm trying to do that anyway. Like I grow I shouldn't say most. I grow a lot of my own food. Like I have a garden that's full of stuff. I'm trying to plant as much as I can in it, and I've got stuff around the property that I go out and wild forage stuff. Like we've got mulberry trees on the property that I've been eating over the last couple weeks. So.
When I lived in Oregon, we had wild blackberries everywhere. You could just pick them and go to town. It was amazing.
Hey, Evan, could you see that link I just tried to paste?
In the chat?
Yeah, I know it said something. I couldn't see it. Let me try again.
If you leave the first part, the HTTP, if you leave that off, it should work.
Okay, give me a sec. I'm gonna post that video of that runner woman just in case anybody gets the. Oh, wait a second. I skipped too much.
I'm gonna head out now, guys. Bye. It's nice chatting.
Bye. Have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Nice talking to you. This is the HTTP.
Any of you guys have a VPN?
I have a VPN set up on my private server, but I don't really use it more because I'm at home. So.
Yeah, I have one on my Mac, but it's only in my Opera browser, and then I have one on my phone. But whenever I use it, Time Warner Cable will figure out that I'm using a VPN after a couple hours, and they'll block my internet until I turn it off.
Oh
wow.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's up. All right, let me try that again.
Oh, I was gonna say I didn't know I was muted. It's 2 hours 20 minutes in. Do you guys want to keep going for a little bit more?
Sure.
I've got it in me.
All right.
All right.
That second win.
Let me see. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna do it this way. Evan, I'm gonna send you this link on Twitter.
Okay.
Because I can't figure out how to make it work.
Sure.
Has
I get angry trying to poke this damn screen with this. My fine motor skills ain't super great at times, and when you got big dumb fingers from beating them all your life, it's really hard to hit little tiny buttons, and they give you a zillion of them. So the less pushing buttons in my life, the better.
Have any of your representatives flaked out of their town halls and started doing the tele-town halls where they call everybody and screen your questions, and then if it's a tough question, they don't let you ask it?
Wow, I haven't heard of that. No.
That's what happened to mine. He was going to do a normal town hall, and he changed it to a tele-town hall. And sadly, I live in a conservative district, so 84% of the people listening said that it was informative and they learned a lot. But the reality was he just lied to everybody the entire time. He was saying how our defense budget was so ridiculously low that they had to take jets out of museums to use them in the army. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Wow.
Where do you live, dude?
I live in Tuscarawas County, Ohio. So my representative in the House was Bob Gibbs, and so it was Bob Gibbs' Teletown Hall. It was just bad.
Okay.
Well, for the Gulf War, they did go to the museums, but the reason wasn't because there wasn't enough money. It was they didn't make any planes that were slow enough, and they went to Omaha and they took a B-25 out of the museum so that they could have one slow-moving plane to fly across the desert for observation. But it had nothing to do with money.
Yeah, well, that's and whenever all these Republicans talk about military funding and underfunding the vets, they don't talk about how trillions of dollars are being put into one plane that doesn't work, the F-35. Actually, no, two, the F-35 and the F-22, because neither of them fly. So
what that plane showed was they're paying for all these really fast ones, and they're not addressing the issues that they're having. So they're having to go back and pull out a 70 or 80-year-old plane, put it back in service for a few weeks until they can figure out something else to do.
Wow.
Well, I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You can go on.
The B-29, or excuse me, not B-29, B-25 was actually a fighter. It has guns on the front. And it was the only thing that met their criteria.
Well, I mean, if you look at China and Russia, we let Congress design the F-35, and so basically they wanted a spaceship that could do everything. They wanted to be able to do a takeoff on the runway, a vertical takeoff, shoot missiles, shoot machine guns, everything, and drop bombs. They wanted the one jet do all. Whereas Russia, they took way less money than we did, and they now have the largest arsenal of fighter jets and bombers because they created a bunch of really cheap specialized planes rather than one plane that could do it all, like the Star Destroyer.
And our main new fighter was just shut down because something's wrong and it doesn't supply oxygen to the pilots.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I can't imagine having a town hall in my where I'm at, because I'm in New York, and I'm in the second district of New York with Pete King. So I can't I can't imagine him actually having the guts to have a town hall, to be honest with you. So I really can't.
Well, that's what ticked me off about the Bob Gibbs one, is that they screened all your questions. So I had to, whenever they screened me, I had to pretend I was going to ask an easier question than I was really going to ask him whenever it got to me.
Well, I went to a Joni Ernst one here, and it was live, but all of the questions were screened anyway. You had to write them all down on a card beforehand, and then they pull you up in order.
Pretty standard.
Oh, sorry. Snork. So Jamal Thomas, I direct messaged him because I mentioned that you wanted to ask him questions. So what things did you want to ask Jamaro?
Oh, I wanted to discuss with him the alternative economic systems.
Alternative economic systems.
And putting those into motion. But I didn't want to just do it on air. I thought it'd be best if we talked beforehand.
Okay.
That'd be great discussion. I'd listen to that one.
Yeah, moneyless bartering. He mentioned a little bit about it to me at the left forum. I can't really say enough about it. I know you guys talked a little bit about the guy, I can't remember his name, who basically went around with no money. That's kind of on the wavelength that Jamora was talking about. Yesterday you were talking about the gentleman who went to a remote place with no money and no ID, and he's a zero living kind of, or no waste guy. Can't remember his name right now. You guys were talking about him last night.
What's that now?
The gentleman who had been traveling the world. He's like a zero waste.
Oh, Rob Greenfield.
Yes, Rob Greenfield. It's along those lines.
Well, I only heard the last part of that whenever you said the gentleman we were talking about last night who traveled. So how did we get to that, since I was using the restroom?
Oh, the alternative economic system.
Oh, you mean were you going back to the universal basic income from last night?
Oh, that would be cool. The federal job guarantee. I was going to ask about that, at the end, and how that actually, how that can be incorporated with the UBI. So, that's my question. I don't really have an answer. If anybody knows.
Well, I mean, the universal basic income is a lot easier to figure out than the federal jobs guarantee, in my opinion, because pretty much all the arguments against the universal basic income that I've read and heard were debunked by somebody else in the same day. Whereas, the federal jobs program, I don't hear a lot about it, even with the people who want it and talk about it. They throw the idea out there, but none of them seem to have any idea of how we would go about implementing it, or what kind of things we would do other than Jill Stein and the Green New Deal and giving everyone a job working on the infrastructure.
Right. Well, one of the forums, at the left forum, was they were floating the idea of a universal base income and the federal jobs guarantee, and they were just talking about kind of the vetting process and the different jobs that you could have, but they didn't really go into the structure of it. So I don't really know how viable it is right now. So, because I work for the federal government, so it's it wouldn't even include me, but it's an interesting idea. I just don't know how the federal jobs guarantee would be implemented. But I know that people were they were floating the idea of yeah, you could have a minimal job. Let's say, you have a disability or something, but you could still do something like read to kids or whatever. You still didn't get that universal base income that you could basically scrape by with, but you have additional income based on what you can do.
Well, have you ever seen the show House of Cards on Netflix?
Yep.
Well, is it season 3 or season 4? It's whenever he becomes president, right? Doesn't he have the what's it called? He wants to give everyone a job who wants one. America Works, right?
Right.
So be kind of like that in real life. Is that what you're talking about?
Right. Yeah. And if you watch the movie Dave, it's the same kind of thing, where anybody who wants a job can get one. Now, it's a grand idea. It's like, and in the movie Dave, they implement that plan within like 8 months. Really? I don't think so. I don't think it would. It would be that quick. You would create jobs just creating the structure of the whole thing. I don't know either if So you're saying you're going to create a federal jobs guarantee. Who like decides who is qualified for what job, and is that in itself a federal job? I don't know.
How long did it take to get the CCC?
It sounds like an interesting idea, but
how long did it take to get the CCC going?
Not very long, because the CCC was, to some element, was self-sustaining. They came in they have these. It's really cool. I've been to a couple. They have a CCC museum in, I think it's in the Pacific rainforest, in the Olympic rainforest. Anyhow, they show like the barracks and stuff, and those guys just came in and they built their own places. It was just young guys. They brought them in. They gave them a job, and it worked pretty well. They were doing logging and stuff. It showed them standing way up on a old growth, and when they would take and they'd chop a notch into the tree, and they'd have these duckbill like boards. They'd jam those into the notch, and then they'd stand on those, and then they would start sawing on either side with the misery whip. And it's a really cool thing, but it really didn't take very long because they like gave military uniforms and stuff. It was all surplus, and it was really well designed. And there was a lot of old timers from back then that didn't like the WPA or the CCC. They were like when people drive by and they see like highway workers, I see them always, they're standing around. I can guarantee you, this guys ain't standing for what they do. If they're standing around, they just spent the last 10 minutes with a shovel in their hand doing something, or they're standing there figuring it out. Either way, those guys are working hard just like everybody else because they like their jobs, But back to the CCC thing, I think that's the exact thing that we need to do to just, I'm telling you, if you went to this currency-free, electronic stuff, well, here's what would happen. The government would control how much black market we have, is basically what would happen, because there would have to be, they would instantly take upon that to start arresting people for black market stuff. And that is a huge part of our economy. So I just think that's we're going to a going to a paperless society, that could, in itself create its own problems. But a CCC program, even now, there are young people, if you pay them $50 an hour and told them you're going to stick them in they're going to stay in dorms and do that kind of thing. They can go out and do work. That's what I did when I was their age. And, it's honest. And they also hired artists and stuff during that period. It wasn't just, they would hire artists and writers. And so great writers of the time wrote these, would write like just the pamphlet for Yosemite or something. You know what I mean? They would do stuff like that, or anyhow, they did that. They actually employed a lot of people doing stuff that wasn't even like manual stuff. They had people doing art and different kinds of whatever they're sort of, if they had a trade like that and it could be used to sort of help publicize it, they would do that, you know. And everybody sort of felt like they were part of something because they knew somebody that was working that way. And I know probably Stevie, you know, her folks or their folks, you know, the WPA was happening then. My old man was from West Virginia. He hated the WPA, but I know him. You know, he would hate it because the government was helping somebody. You know, that was just the way he was. Oop, Stevie dropped away, I think.
Who's doing the drumming?
Oh, sorry, I didn't think you could hear that.
Can y'all still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, Stevie.
Oh, for some reason my phone just decided to restart.
Sorry, I thought the pickup pattern on my mic was precise enough you couldn't hear my pad.
What was that?
Like a Neil Peart in my head for a second there and conversation. You guys got to understand, like, all my life on this side of my head, imagine like little goblin dudes in there, like trying to use jackhammers to get out. That's what it feels like. So like when I'm communicating, sometimes it's very hard to take in language and other things, or like look at this. If I'm doing 2 or 3 things at a time, I'm not doing 2 of them if I'm doing it well. So the drumming was like, I'm listening, trying to catch the beat, and all of a sudden I'm not hearing everything else.
I'm sorry.
That's all right, man. It was kind of cool for a second. Now you gotta call into Tim's show and do drum solos. You know, since harmonica man hasn't called in a while.
Like there used to be a harmonica man.
Coco can play the kazoo. Yeah, somebody will play the kazoo.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing.
I should call in and sing him a song sometime.
I wish I had like musical talent. It would be a dream of mine just to be able to play guitar. If I could play guitar, I just had one of them things that you just plug the headphones into. I could be happy all day long, you know, just trying to play new things. But like I said, my fingers and my 2 hands don't do 2 things differently at the same time. So like typing is just like, forget about it. But I was never like able to play music. You know, all my kids are great on music.
Yeah.
But, you know, my wife made sure they learned music early, and my daughter really took off on it. And so I'm happy. She's classical, though. You know, I always wondered, girls with guitars are cool, man. I'm telling you.
Well, I can play the guitar. I play the harp, the actual like strings harp. And,
right on.
Piano. Yeah, I should bring it in here sometime and just play for you.
I can play some really mediocre piano. like I can do Thunderstruck by AC/DC and Thrift Shop, and that's about it, you know.
So
huge part of my life's career has been dedicated to music.
So should we do like certain special segments? Like there's an independent media panel that I'm doing. There's this after hours for anyone to do anything. But should we have things like I know Bram's really into computer building stuff, so like we would do something on computer building. Some people here can do something like music, play something together.
That'd be fun.
Or talk about musical stuff. Or like I know there's a couple of video gamers, Erik.
I'm a huge gamer.
Yeah. So like talk about games.
Are you on Hearthstone, Erik?
I kind of play.
Oh, what games do you?
Are you on Hearthstone, Erik?
Oh, I'm still here.
What do you play?
Me?
Stevie, what do you play?
The Xbox 360.
Well, what games?
I play like Borderlands, Halo, you know, stuff like that.
Oh, first-person shooter, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Battlefield. That's what I play. Battlefield 1 right now.
I'm still playing Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia. I've been very, very slow with the game lately.
I'm a weirdo. I quit video games cold turkey a few years ago and only play with friends now if they like, and it's only if they like ask.
I slowed down.
Brothers or something.
I always like feel like I'm wasting my time when I play. Like I'd rather be like listening to a podcast about history. Like, have any of you guys ever listened to the Dollop podcast?
I love
Which
the Dollop.
one?
The Dollop with Dave Anthony and Gareth Reynolds. It's basically one comedian telling another comedian really well researched and fact checked absurd stories from history that generally aren't very well known.
Oh,
Like they did one on Smedley Butler and his life and how crazy it was and how he ended up exposing his ginormous fascist plot to overthrow the United States government. And it involved like a bunch of business leaders, like the DuPont family, and it involved Prescott Bush, George H.W. Bush's dad, and like they were all going to overthrow the government.
I remember that. I remember that story. Yes.
Yeah, they've done a lot of stuff like that, and they did one on a tickling ring. Like there was one guy on the internet who was pretending to be like 80 people, and he had this giant ring of websites of like people being tickled, and it was like a fetish thing. But it's like this real crazy story because like you like learn about this one guy who's like Norm living in New York, and then you learn about another guy who's named like Sally living in Australia, and then there's like another guy, and he had like all these weird things like where he'd pay male models to come to Australia to do a tickling contest, and he would like videotape it and photograph it and then post it on the internet but claim it wasn't a sexual thing, you know.
There was a documentary on that, I think, too.
Yeah, it's called Tickled. It's really good.
Yeah.
So I'll post my Twitter link if you guys want to send me direct messages, and we'll try to coordinate or schedule a day and a time where we do specific topics.
That would be fun. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I like that idea. I'm now that I'm graduated, I don't have any other use for my drumline skills, so that'd be nice to find a new use for them.
I could do probably like a thing on Super Mario Maker stages. Like I'm building like I have. Here's one thing I haven't like I've been building like this 10-stage project, like 100-floor tower. And and I'm like stuck on like the 7th one, and I'm trying to do everything on its own. Like like I haven't built like any stages in like since like October 2016, and I really kind of want to get back into it because I've been so involved, with politics and stuff like that, and like Twitter and stuff like that. I mean, the only real games I have been playing is The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild on my Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
I love it.
I've got like 2 new games. One of them's I think it is one of the new Zelda games, but
Breath of the Wild.
I haven't even opened it yet. It's like I want
to. For Nintendo Switch or Wii U?
Maybe it's not Zelda. It's on. Is it Xbox One?
Oh, you have an Xbox One?
I have Xbox One, PlayStation 4. I mean, I don't even use PlayStation 4 anymore. I'm Mr. Techie guy. I've got a little bit of everything.
The only game I play is Hearthstone, which is a branch off of World of Warcraft.
Yeah, I think I have that too. I think I only played like
Magic-y. It's like a card game online. But I love it, and if you ever get on there, let me know, because I'll try to kick your butt.
Yeah.
It's like my Nintendo Switch. I love it.
Oh, nice.
Anybody into D&D?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I was in there. Yeah.
It used to be. We had a dad's group that did it locally in my town. It was Pathfinder. That was what we played.
Oh my gosh! I just went on. Sorry, I mean,
structured. Way back in high school, I have not been able to find a group since then. I was like, well, I found y'all online. Like, maybe I can find a D&D group.
Yeah. We should probably we could do D&D groups. Maybe we do like one once a week D&D session. That'd be so nerdy, but pretty cool, I guess.
Actually, that would probably attract a bunch of people.
Maybe.
Hey, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm a little too slow when it comes down to it, but I could slowly learn, but it's fine.
I never played it, but I'm a fast learner, so I could probably learn it in a couple, a couple games.
Yeah.
We would.
It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
Not that difficult.
We would just need to make sure that when you roll the dice, we can see it, so you're not cheating.
Well, you could get like digital dice, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we
There's
could
like
do digital dice
out there.
Yeah. No, digital dice can be fixed.
Oh, okay, maybe.
It could be fixed.
I could ask if one of a friend of mine or a couple friends see if they'd want to do it. Yeah.
I mean,
dude,
I have dice of my own because I used to play Pokemon cards. Like I used to play Pokemon cards until they got super greedy. That's why I actually quit the game because it was getting too expensive anyway.
How do we know your dice aren't fixed, Eric?
Trigger!
We get Debbie Lissignan on here and then have her check our dice.
You know that they have 100-sided dice now?
Yeah. Holy crap!
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Did you guys hear about the march tomorrow in Austin, Texas?
March.
There's a conservative march against Sharia law tomorrow in Austin. It's like, why not have a march that says we're against bad things,
I like that.
Like as if anyone in the United States actually is fighting for Sharia law,
I don't even know what.
I'm sure you have like one guy with a with a poster or a sandwich board or something. I'm sure you could find one guy.
Yeah, probably just out of spite, there'll probably be some guy dressed, wearing like there'll probably be like a white guy that dresses up like he's Middle Eastern, and then he goes there,
right,
and says Sharia for all, and he'll be like across the street, and he'll be like, yeah.
An undercover cop kind of trying to do some kind of operation, trying to stir people up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was taking my son to school and I saw a sign that was like one of those little political signs, and it was by the women's club. It says, "We stand against child abuse." Like, who's standing for it?
Right.
But I mean, like, why did they have to put
love that?
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage to stand up for something everyone is for.
Yeah. Anyways, let's call it a night.
All right.
We'll try to do more. Maybe we'll do one this week night. Maybe tomorrow night if you guys are interested. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's gonna be shown from the People's Summit. So there's also a lot to talk about if we want to cover that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Shall I sing you a goodbye Gaelic song?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to, since people have been asking.
Go for it.
Do you want to do it now?
Yeah.
Go for it.
It's called Guibara Nadan, and it's all about nature, and we've talked about the salmon, and it's about the moon rising, and the guy's basically saying that that's where he would like to be buried when he dies, because it's the best place on earth.
That sounds so cool.
Tanabagagani naswagi krali snakiranegi nadrudanohi nagyagan nasuruhan panjagaranan tagibaranagacha vibaranadam. Instruis kiovar nabradan skei. Darfana himil confuse gavri. Nahane naslihan Ambruasa Matatitan Gantoye Vagui Baranadon Scheme Saporik Kasmi Connecti Magiranesh Anare Mohi Akmana Mashalu Pantelraton Tang Fasfataklati Agui Baranadon.
Awesome.
Wow. Beautiful.
You get a standing ovation.
Thanks, sweetie.
If I stand up, everything will fall out.
I'd do a standing
Wonderful.
ovation, but you wouldn't be able to see it, so.
Yay.
Sometime I'll bring the harp on. We'll have an arts festival here.
The electric harp.
Yeah, I could just cadence us out right now, you know.
Yeah, do the bongos.
Yeah, you guys can make me like an intro snippet or something, maybe. All right. Well,
like a beautiful voice with like some really heavy drum line, like Gox behind it. It'd be like.
Very enough to work.
Okay, thanks. Twitter me, see if you guys want to do something Saturday night. But otherwise, we'll see you guys on Monday night if we don't do anything tomorrow night.
We should do Saturday night, Saturday night like comedy or something.
Like something light, so we don't have to go into heavy stuff that's going on.
It's really is important. I mean, these subjects are really heavy and they can be tough. And so sometimes, gaming, art, music, whatever it is.
Have variety. I like it.
Yeah, the Saturday night variety show.
Helps you to relax, Yeah.
I'll be funny and be nerdy and very, very gamey and nerdy.
Very triggered.
Triggered! Ooh, I'm so triggered!
You want some trigger?
I'll come bearing jokes.
Ooh, I'm so triggered!
Impersonations are good.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone in chat.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Love you all. Have a good
All right,
night.
we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Triggered!
Trigger!
Triggered!